I think we're live. We are live there. Let me let everybody in Discord land know that we are live because they like to know what's going on. And we will paste that in just so they know what's going on. There we go. See people coming in. Wait a few minutes for folks to join us. Excuse me. It's a special night tonight. We'll see how everything goes tonight. We currently have 0 watching, so gotta wait a few moments for folks to show up.
I know that person.
And yeah, there we go. And we've got some fun things planned for us for tonight. We've got the news, obviously, review of Char's counterattack, and a review of we'll be talking about there's something I told everyone to be talking about tonight, which is one of my favorite things, and it's completely slipped my mind, but we'll get to it. We have a really, really, really fun dramatic reading for tonight. Oh. And we'll be making, what else is there? We're going to be making some potato salad balls tonight. Watch yourself. And so yeah, it's going to be it should be a fun night as we do all of our stuff. And I see folks starting to filter in, which is great. We're going to have a bunch of stuff. This is also the weekend of Escape Velocity convention, so I'll be talking about that a little bit and what it was like and what's going on at that convention, which is really, really cool. We're really enjoying that. And y'all hear that? I hear somebody's at the door. That's weird. Huh? Come in. Come on in. Who could be here at this hour? Come on. I mean, who could possibly join an event like this? Who would be around, you know, to join an event like this? I mean, I just can't imagine anybody being
Brent!
Oh! Evan! Hey!
It's been a million years
Guess
since
what?
I've seen you.
Look at this! Imagine
Oh my
that.
goodness.
Hey, Fisher, how's it
It's been
going?
a million years.
Exactly,
Fisher. Oh,
yes.
wow, hey.
But that's
Yeah.
not all, is it? Of course not.
Oh, I bring with
Hey!
Kaminoko.
Kaminoko's here as well. Exactly. So we're all here. We're doing the thing. I'm going to try to do the thing in the new setup.
Which thing was the thing?
So it should be fun tonight. Got lots of stuff going on for tonight, and chat room's going. That's going. You know what? I think
Many fires in the iron.
exactly. And you know what? I hear another sound. It's time for the news.
Oh,
The sound's been off this entire time.
no. The whole time. Well, we've been having fun.
Okay.
So, have we been
All right.
very animated for
Okay,
you?
yeah. All right. Don't worry. We're back. Gosh, that's annoying.
So,
Can you hear us
Sorry
now?
about that.
and now for something completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Now you guys got how
There
to
we
make
go.
$1 billion, right?
Right,
That was
exactly.
the, that was the
the
key.
main thing. Yep. Mhm.
Okay, now for something different.
So,
Okay.
So they know who he is, but they might not know who I am.
Hey.
Let's introduce
Hey.
Kaminoko.
Yep.
Thanks for reading the comments finally.
Yeah. Something in the back of my mind was saying I should check comments, and glad I did.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, Kanaga's here with us, and we're gonna
Did
do
we?
stuff. I have not watched Clannad yet, so I cannot review it. But yes, we will get to that. Don't worry.
Yay.
Someday, hopefully.
Someday.
All right.
There's
So,
so many anime.
let's-
so many anime.
Thank you for hanging with us. for all
Exactly.
this time.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
So you missed some really cool stuff that is coming up, and you can even participate in a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And that is the neatest. And the folks involved have worked on some really seminal anime, stuff like Samurai 7.
Well, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go
Yeah,
ahead
sure.
and-
Let's do that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's return.
We had our test run.
Exactly.
Take 2, once more, with feeling.
Welcome back to the anime news for the week of May 25th, 2018.
Woo!
Yeah, where we're talking about all sorts of fun stuff, including new anime. Anime called Ueno is Awkward. You've all had that feeling before. I
Awkward?
think.
No, I never feel awkward.
Me neither.
Most of the time.
Yeah, some of the time. Occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah. Once.
So, yeah. So Ueno...
Once a day.
For day, exactly.
Once a minute for me.
Yeah. So it focuses on a junior high school girl named Ueno, who is the president of her school's science club. And
Smart
she's
girl.
smart, a little awkward.
Only little.
I suppose it
Only
goes
a
with
little.
the territory.
Exactly,
Yeah.
comes in awkward. She's a bit of an inventor, but
Ooh.
she's not so good with the romance.
Good with innovation, but not
course.
spur to the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Smooth.
So I'm not sure how much of a romantic element there's actually going to be in the story. It looks more like Lucky Star, Nichijou, that kind of a fun thing. Yotsubato, maybe.
Did like Lucky Star.
Exactly.
Fun sort of.
Fun, lighthearted. So that looks like a fun one coming. No news on when exactly yet.
She looks pretty serious.
She looks very serious, absolutely. So,
But maybe
it's gonna be
that's
fun.
because of the conundrum of being awkward.
Exactly. So that's a pretty serious girl right there.
Yeah,
This
her
that's
art
friends look
actually
pretty
reminds
relaxed.
me a little bit of Powderpuff.
Powerpuff Girls. Yeah,
Powerpuff
you're
Girls.
right.
Three
Yeah.
girls,
A
they
little
each
bit.
have the different color. Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
The style of the line art.
Totally. Also, new
The
anime
eyes.
coming. The eyes, yeah.
Yeah.
Young Again
Oh.
in Another World. This is a light novel series getting an anime in October, which is always nice to
I like
see.
the splash art on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful.
So main concept here, 94-year-old guy. Exactly. 94-year-old guy he passes away. After a long life, everything's working out for him, everything's good. But he wakes up to find a young girl in a tunic telling her she's God.
He's woken up from being dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hello, God here.
And so he sends the girl flying with a kick to her face. Only to,
I take it he doesn't believe her.
not exactly.
I guess not.
Only to find out she actually is God, which is a bit of a sad thing. So,
Oops, sorry.
exactly. So he basically, or she tells him that she needs somebody to just hang out in another dimension for a couple of decades.
Just hang out.
Exactly. Just whatever.
I need you to
be fine.
just chill here.
No powerful, amazing, difficult mission.
Nope.
Just
Yeah,
chill.
Just
just
live.
chill.
Just
Wow.
chill. He doesn't want to do it. He's like, I've lived my life.
What's
Let
your
me
alternative,
move beyond.
dude?
Nice.
And so she goes, okay, I'll give you I'll give you an 18-year-old body, the body of an 18-year-old, not somebody else's body. Like your body will become 18 years old. Yeah, still not interested.
That would have been nice.
So she gives him a bunch of ludicrously powerful skills.
Hey,
Nope, not interested.
body skill. He's got his memory. Oh my goodness.
And then she says, new world, new and exotic food. turns out
The
he's
stomach
a foodie.
strings. Yeah, there you go.
God.
Way to a man's heart.
Mm-hmm.
Through his stomach.
Yep, that seals the deal. So suddenly he is, as they describe in the description on J Novel Club, the next thing he knows, he's standing in a foreign land, younger, stronger, and more clueless than ever. So what's neat about it is that he has no skin in the game. He is just there to experience whatever he wants to experience.
Wow.
You know, no consequences in a sense.
Oh yeah, he's just chilling, waiting for God to come back
With the powers of Superman.
and the food palette. Ah!
This picture makes me think that there's going to be at least a little bit of that dirty old man in an 18-year-old
Might
body.
be.
Yeah.
Might
To have
Just
the
possibly.
knowledge that
Yeah.
of a man who's lived that many years, but then have the body and skill and agility.
When they
Just
say,
think of the changes he could make that he'd never. Oh, I wanted to do this, but
Youth
I
is
never
wasted on the
did."
young.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Totally.
That would be interesting to see where they take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are saying it will be coming in October. I think they said no news on how long, but hopefully it will do pretty well. We've got 189 million page views on the web novel.
Oh, there's a web novel.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That is pretty
So
In
good.
it's
Japanese.
inspired by
Yep.
I need to
And
learn Japanese.
yeah, it's currently on volume 17.
Wow. So
Nice.
it
That's
sounds like
pretty
they have
good.
some good material to draw from there.
Exactly. Yep.
No,
So-
no drawing pun intended. I mean, yeah. I mean, what else do you say?
Yeah,
to draw
pretty
from.
much. Totally. Also, we have a second season for There's No Cure for My Brother Being Around Me.
I just
TV
love
animated
that
series.
title.
Awesome.
It's the best.
So what's funny is that came out in March in China and in April
In China?
in Tokyo. Yeah.
A Chinese.
Yeah.
Because it's based on a Chinese manga. Yeah.
That is really neat.
This is last year.
That doesn't happen too often, does it?
No.
I mean, Chinese
Yeah.
story background. That sounds
Yeah.
like it should be interesting.
We're seeing a few more now than we used to. I'm trying to remember exactly which, but I know I've seen a few Chinese stories get adapted
I
into
remember
like
there were a
Japanese
few
anime.
animations
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
were being mentioned that looked really, really exciting. That they were doing a pretty good job. I
Yeah.
wonder if the Chinese will start to give the Japanese a run for their money with some of the creative stories.
Could be.
I'm sure they're a fertile ground
They've
for
got
all
so
sorts
much
of
population
history and
their economy is still
imagination.
doing
Yeah.
really strong.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. You know, we had King's Avatar recently, which was one of those. This looks like anime. Like you guys nailed it. So yeah, second season for that about a girl who has troubles with her brother. Big shock. And looks like just a fun, ridiculous sort of comedy. 24 episodes there. So I think it's like an O&A style thing. Sort of a flash animation sort of style. So simple, but no complaints there. All right, moving on to Kenichi Sonoda, which some folks here will recognize that name, who has finally launched his Bean Bandit Kickstarter.
Bandit. Bean Bandit?
So the character's name is Bean Bandit, which, okay.
Bean Bandit?
Which is,
Feels mean.
apparently. And basically, he is a driver for hire in Chicago. Get you from here to there, no questions asked.
No.
Exactly. Very exciting.
Unlike Uber drivers.
Yeah, totally. And so he's been hinting at this for a while. We've covered this a bit on the news recently that he's been talking about this, and so the Kickstarter is to fund a 5-minute animation, and then stretch goals will go all the way up to a 20-minute animation, depending on how much they get.
So this hasn't
Hopefully
been
they'll
fleshed
actually-
out. They're just starting the Kickstarter on this.
So yeah, correct. I believe he has everything kind of written and planned. I mean, the Kickstarter has all these folks involved that he's already approached, working on staff. So Shujiro
my goodness, big
Hamakawa,
names, big
animator, working production IG. Lots of other folks involved, Shoji Murahama. And so it looks like, they've kind of got everything prepped for it.
And he's already done some fantastic stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the line art here on the so
This
this is their
art is
Kickstarter page.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I see a lot is
Yeah.
in Japanese. Are they're looking to
prices in
bootstrap a whole series or?
It looks like just a 20-minute animation, which is, I mean, there was a Riding Bean anime, and it was, I think, a 2-episode OVA. Gunsmith Cats OVA, which I think
Gunsmith
2
Cats.
or 3.
Yeah.
So that's been what they've been doing basically. Is these short animations? I guess it's going to be a 20-minute animation, or however long they can get the money for.
Yeah, I guess depending upon
It would
popularity.
be awesome if they went like way over and they were able to actually do more with it.
So how are they doing now on reaching their goal?
So as of a few minutes ago, they have $117,000 pledged out of 136.
Okay.
They're fast approaching
Yeah.
Yep, 22 days to go.
22
it.
days.
That would be
That's
cool
awesome.
to donate to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
I contributed. I pulled it off the ground.
So just search Kickstarter for Bean Bandit, and you will find it there. And Sonoda himself is running it. He is planning to direct it. So he's definitely pushing it forward.
He's been involved in a bunch of stuff. Samurai 7 and what were some of the others that he...
I think those are the other staff members.
Was it
I
the
don't
staff
think
members?
that
Was
was
that
him.
Was that him?
He's working on Talking to Video. Sonoda has a few other things. I'm trying to remember. 'Cause I know he's, one of those character designers folks tend to pull in for things. Bubblegum Crisis, that was the first
yeah.
one.
Oh.
Gunsmith Cats.
Golf Force. And
Nice.
kind of got Exacxion, which kind of never went anywhere, unfortunately.
Ooh.
But
Video games?
yeah. Salty
Also-
Ray.
Salty
That was the other one.
Ray!
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
Soul Bianca.
that.
We're talking to a video, of course. I mean, that's wow. Yeah.
Soul Bianca.
Some
Yeah.
That
interesting
sounds
things.
familiar.
Yeah, Soul Bianca was early 2000s, I think, something along those lines. It's one of those things.
I wanna
where
see what comes
I
out of
remember
this, yeah.
seeing the title, but yeah. So yeah, good.
The preliminary sketches, they really have an appeal to them. So
Totally. So, like we were saying, it's always good to see a Kickstarter do well for new anime coming out that is original and that will be its own thing.
And the first time we went through this, weren't you saying something about that if you pledge a certain amount, you can actually
Oh,
a
meet the
Blu-ray.
guy- meet
Oh,
Sonoda?
Yeah.
we were talking about.
So
So if you pledge $2 million, you're an angel investor, and we will make you the main character. No,
pretty much.
Not even
Well,
that much.
that was the thing. Is that so? If you pledge $1,500,
That doesn't
not
comparison, yeah.
by comparison, you
Yeah.
get to watch a pilot of the film with Sonoda and talk with him in person
That's
at a special
so
event.
cool.
That's pretty nice. If you pledge about $4,500, he will make you a character in the new show.
Immortalized.
Immortalized as an anime character in the story, which is pretty cool. He'll also actually send you a cut of it. So presumably film of the actual
Wow.
thing. Something along
That's
those
something.
lines.
Neat.
And an original illustration mail. Wow, he will draw
Oh.
art for you. That's nuts. And a
those of-
fan book and everything else.
For those of us on a little bit more of a budget, what can we do to get a Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Exactly. The Blu-ray was, I think, was that $40 or so.
$40. That's
Blu-ray.
reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm helping the industry get another project off the ground.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I should point out, Riley Vincent
like
and
that
Minnie Mae
art.
Hopkins will be involved. The Gunsmith Cats. I think Becky from that was also hinted at in the thing. So all the main characters in Gunsmith Cats should be involved as well. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully he will not use the same plot as the Writing Bean anime, which was a little controversial. Little racy, very racy, very racy. But we'll stay family friendly here for this particular one.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Don't normally talk about streaming news, but Land of the Lustrous was a very remarkable anime series that came out, I think, last
Interesting
year.
name.
I'm thinking of Land of the Lost. That's
And
different.
yeah,
I
very,
know,
very different.
that's what I
Land of the
thought of
Lustrous.
first.
This is about gem girls. Girls who are literally made of various gems and crystals.
It's hardened.
Exactly, yes. Which means if they get hit by something, they shatter. And it's this very artsy anime series, very visually remarkable, and all CGI.
The things you can do with gems and light and oh my goodness, that sounds like it could be.
It is
neat
a
to see.
brilliant use of the medium and of everything else. And it was on Amazon's streaming service. You had to pay like $3 a month for. So nobody watched it.
Was it a whole series?
Whole series, like 12
Wow.
episodes.
12
yeah.
episodes. Oh,
It's brilliant.
that's sad that happened. So is
exactly.
it available now?
So that's the thing. Is that High Dive announced they picked it up. High Dive is a Crunchyroll style, free streaming paid subscription if you want to remove ads.
Are they just anime or do they other stuff as well?
I think it's all anime. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they have.
I gotta write this down. Where's my
Yeah,
pen?
Exactly.
Who uses a pen these days?
Exactly.
High Dive.
High Dive.
I'm trying to remember which convention it is. It's the one in Atlantic City.
Oh, okay.
You know how Crunchyroll
Atlantic
helps
City. I was thinking
will
of
sponsor anime conventions. Well,
Yeah.
High Dive is sponsoring. What is the name? Anime
Interesting.
Next.
Oh, okay.
Next.
Anime Next.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so that's really neat.
They're sponsoring
Yeah.
the. Wow.
So they're gonna
Yeah.
have
That's
all of like
something
the swag when you come by their
Nice.
table, and they'll have the special discounts and
Yeah,
Yeah.
Meet and greet.
think-
Hey, staff.
Yeah.
I think High Dive is one of the licensors. Now that I think about it, I think it's like ADV or somebody.
That gives me
kinda
more
morphed
comfort
into
that,
High Dive.
uh,
something along the, I think something along the. It's not just some random service. I
Good,
think
good,
it came
good.
out of somebody.
I've looked it up, and they have simuldubs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
there
right,
must
that
be
was-
licensing for
Yeah.
that to get that to
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool, and they've also had some neat stuff. And I should also point out the Amazon service that they were on has now been folded into normal Amazon Prime. So if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you just go onto your Prime Video, you watch it, you're done. There's no extra subscription
It's
cost.
another reason
So that's
why I
good.
need Prime.
Exactly, totally.
My mom is
Oh.
calling me. I'm
Oh.
gonna run into the other room and talk
Okay,
to mom real quick.
fair enough.
Okay. See you later.
So exactly. Speaking of streaming, we also have news that Crunchyroll added a few things this week, including Mind Game, Letter to Momo, Welcome to the Space Show, and Fatima Inverted, all well-respected anime movies, as well as the Studio Ghibli documentary, The Kingdom of... Whoops. Not that. The Kingdom... Whoa, not that either. One second, everyone. The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which is kind of a weird name for a Ghibli documentary.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially as you find out more about these people. It's kind of a weird place. And this is all about basically how... so they spend about a year in Studio Ghibli just, you know,
Studio
filming
Ghibli.
things. Yeah, no, Ghibli. Very
Ghibli.
different. And it is Ghibli, by the way, not Ghibli. So it's basically a documentary while they're making The Wind Rises, I believe. They're sort of starting on The Wind Rises.
A documentary.
Yeah, it's like an hour long.
Oh my goodness.
You get to spend a lot of time with Miyazaki.
I've always
wanna
wondered
watch
about
that.
him. You know, so does it get into more of his personal life and philosophy and how he works with people? And,
Yeah, exactly. And you can
Wow.
see him working and his process of conceptualizing a film. I mean, not in huge detail, but you get to see some of that. And just kind of what it's like working at Ghibli to an extent.
how the magic is
And,
made.
you know, and then just
Yeah.
Miyazaki's personality, you know, and kind of his beliefs about things, which are remarkable. But it's very good. And with Isao Takahata passing recently, so sadly,
yeah.
you get to see him as well. He's in the documentary. And just see them
wow.
talking about him. So it's very timely for that as well. So that's pretty cool. You also get to see what's kind of interesting is just how hard it is to keep a place like Studio Ghibli running because you have all these animators who need to have work.
Oh yeah, if you're not working on a project, you're not making money, and what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. So finding work for everyone to do that that Miyazaki and Takahata actually want to do, you know, it's just it's kind of it's a challenge.
That they actually want to do.
Right. Well, and they reveal that, you know, when Goro Miyazaki basically took over directing all these films because the other guys didn't want to, and it was like, well, we need to pay their salaries to keep them working, so we got to keep this ball rolling.
There's lots of
You know.
stories, and somebody has to have a vision, but somebody has to actually take it and run with that vision,
Yeah.
and that's where the work,
Yeah.
the work part is.
Exactly. So if you're interested in that, again, lots of cool stuff on Crunchyroll this week.
Crunchyroll.
And then some poor Martin Madchen. We keep coming back to this anime series. This series that premiered earlier this... Oh, I don't have an image for that. Series that premiered earlier this year, I believe. And they announced partway through that episodes 11 and 12 weren't done.
Oh no, they're not going to meet deadline.
They didn't make their deadline.
Ah, in anime world, that is very dangerous.
So, like, they did... they essentially aired... what do you call it? Filler episodes and
recaps.
Recaps. And it was all recap.
We're gonna get you up to speed on everything that's happened.
It said, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. Now it's not coming out until December.
Ooh.
Episodes 11 and 12.
Are they waiting for a different season then? Maybe.
I don't- but
It sounds like
They- there- there's
we have
no
other projects.
way-
I'm sorry, we got to put
The
this
thing
on the
is-
shelf. Or...
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because there's no way they're going to air that on television. It's got to go on their DVD or Blu-ray or something. And the problem is, that means that it's just going to be hard to get all this, because the third 4th, 5th, and 6th volumes have all been delayed as well on the Blu-ray release.
Oh my. Oh my. Hopefully this doesn't crash and burn. I hate to see a project run into those kind of situations.
Now they've said they want to improve the animation quality, which from what people have said is warranted. It's various episodes have issues with the animation, so they're gonna do that. Now they have release dates for those. So Volume 3 was originally going to come out in June. Now it's August. Volume 4 was July. Now it's September, and so they're pushing things back quite a bit.
Yeah.
Volume 6 doesn't come out until January 30th of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next year.
Do you guys feel you could suffer through rough animation for a good story? Or do you think
Sure.
that you have to have everything? I don't know.
I've definitely watched stuff with rough animation.
I have to be able to really it has to really grab me, because part of the reason why I prefer usually anime versus American animation is because it's beautiful when it's well done. So like the visual is really important to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's beautiful but crappy story, I probably won't pay attention to it either.
I think if the story is very compelling, sometimes, for example, in a manga or any graphic novel, sometimes I'll be so wrapped up in the story, I will have read past a lot of the illustration, and I'll have to go back and look at the illustration again to catch up on all the visual things. So I'm kind of torn between the two, because sometimes you want the story so you can continue and keep the momentum, but other times, well, without the visual portion of it, okay, it adds so much flavor to it, and so it's sad to see. Hopefully they'll be able to pull out of the tailspin.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the anime premiered January 11th. So yeah, that's a pretty long delay. The 9th and 10th episodes were delayed to March to improve the animation quality, and then they just kind of said nope on the 11th and 12th until much longer. So the Crunchyroll has streamed all they have so far, and it's out there. And it's sort of a harem. It's a not really a harem series, but it's a bunch of cute girls go to an academy, hang out, get naked. Basically,
wow.
Yeah, exactly.
This doesn't sound promising.
And what was the delay?
The first episode has an extended bathhouse scene, so that's why I say that. It's
the
a little
first
goofy.
episode, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a lot of anime where they start off with that to get viewers, and then they go into a real story and not just, okay, we got you with this.
Yeah.
I was rewatching Chobits, and it was like that. It was like so much fan service, and then it started to kind of drop off after a while.
Get into a real story and groove. And...
Yeah. So here's hoping Marcin Modchin, however you pronounce that, will kind of pull it all together and get out there.
Name.
And it's tough too, because it's a 12-episode series, so to have this many problems with such a small thing in their first season of first anime of anything.
Somebody didn't whisper that Scottish planing. In it,
exactly, yeah. So that's all the news for the week. Thank you all very much for joining me, and hope to see you again next week. Take care.
News.
So everyone's wondering who these people are. Well, I think that Tandem's wondering who we are. Diego, how you doing?
Hey.
I've not seen the new Gundam Breaker trailer. I want to do that. That's hey Jizz. Jay, rather. Sorry, that was terrible. Wow.
Come again?
Never mind. I'm tired.
Master Chief Snake. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that is cool.
Some names I remember.
Haro, indeed. This is Evan
and Kaminoko.
Exactly.
And it's taken me forever to get back to you guys. I'm sorry I took so long. Life, it gets in the way. So it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Hopefully more frequently.
Yeah, totally.
Getting settled in the new place.
Don't worry, Ricky. We're just getting started. We're
not done.
No,
what? Okay, everybody, wrap up. Let's go. No, just kidding. Oh, that's cute.
We're not exactly into Naruto. We've watched Naruto.
My brother loves Naruto. He
really
devoured it. So I have a younger brother, 5 years younger than me, and he devoured Naruto. Then went on to Naruto Shippuden, and he just loves it. But in talking with certain folks, they say there's certain episodes that you don't necessarily have to watch to really get the best of it because
Yeah.
like any episode that's going and any series that's going to go that long, any franchise at that point because it's several different series.
Yeah.
Is going to have points that are lulls and the story that don't necessarily add that they were meeting their deadline. It's
Yeah.
filler, you know,
Episodes,
basically.
yeah.
But some of the action scenes in animation are really exciting. But the mass appeal has kind of taken it to a level where it's one of the powerhouses that generates a lot of fandom. So I'm kind of curious. I haven't had a chance to go through the whole series, and I usually like to talk from that standpoint because then I can address it better.
Like
But
400 episodes.
I've enjoyed what I've seen, but I want to keep with the story because I feel like, oh, okay, if I just need to watch like 18 more episodes.
And I have a friend who's going through and watching all of it without filler, and it's not bad. Like it's a lot of episodes, but it's not like you're cutting out 5% of it. You're cutting out large chunks, so you can actually make some progress.
That was my problem with Bleach in the early days because I got to a point where I'm like, this is an awesome story. I love it. But then I was getting filler episode, filler episode, and I was like, wait a second. Oh, come on, I want to get back to the story.
Yeah, exactly. And they have guides online where you can say, here's the filler episodes. So Fisher, that's a really interesting issue. You have somebody in his 50s, his first anime is Naruto. Wow.
Cool.
Where do you take him from Naruto?
Nice. Oh.
That's interesting.
Well, let's see. Is it what aspect of Naruto does he like? Because
Exactly.
there's action you could take. There's the dynamics of different groups.
Yeah.
The cohesive of this team, that team. But I mean, is the historical side of it? I mean, to what degree the fantasy side of it? And I couldn't say the reality side of it necessarily, but or there's different aspects, and maybe finding some of his related fiction interests are.
Yeah.
Based on that, you could guide him to similar related anime that overlaps some of those characteristics.
Yep.
For me, I love the space opera, the sci-fi aspects of things, and every once in a while a good comedy. Just something that's lighthearted.
Totally.
To answer Tandem
Dragon Ball.
T's question about manga, I would say if you love like manga with beautiful art, anything by Clamp is gorgeous. Some anime, like Evan was saying earlier, or sorry, some manga, you get so into just reading the story that you don't pay attention to the art, but like when I'm reading something by Clamp, even though I'm reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, this art is so beautiful. I have to stop and admire.
I'm trying to show an example from Angelic Lair, but this is like their one shonen title. So it's a very clean art style compared to their other stuff. I just remembered.
Yeah.
So it's not really a great illustration of what Clamp can do. That's not a bad example. So yeah, some really lovely stuff.
Yeah, and they'll have these huge full page
A lot
or
of
multi-page
shreds.
images,
a lot of action.
that is really detailed.
Yeah, Clamp definitely. You guys all know how I'm going to answer the manga question.
Berserk. I haven't seen the new Berserk. I saw the old Berserk.
I've heard very mixed things about the new Berserk.
I'm
Mostly
curious.
negative. Yeah, exactly. Another one of those all CGI things is kind of.
Oh.
CGI can
Could be
sometimes
good.
be good and sometimes not be good. I guess it depends upon how flexible a person is in their approach to those kind of things. I can give a little bit of flexibility for a while, but if it's rough, back in the early days of CGI, they did some really creative stuff. Here's what we could do. But going back now and looking at stuff from 20 years ago that was CGI, I'm like, oh, it looks so prehistoric, compared to what they can do these days.
Definitely changed.
Looking at Fisher's comment there, etchy for lulz.
Okay, yeah, hey, you never know what somebody's gonna be excited by or be interested in. Exactly. He likes the action of Naruto.
Action.
Certainly, One Piece would be a place to jump to.
Oh yeah.
That's very high action.
It does have really good writing.
I like the swordplay of Roni.
Oh, Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
Fairy Tale.
Fairy Tale? Yeah.
Samurai
If he has the patience to sit through long anime, you probably could like Fairy Tale. And Fairy Tale has some great characters, and there's actually character development. There isn't a lot of filler in Fairy Tale, which is nice.
if it's the
Something
fight
that's
scenes, I'd recommend Baki the Grappler, which I've heard that they're going to redo, because there's a lot of different types of arts, martial arts, and fighting techniques that there actually exist to some degree, not to the degree that they play out on the show, and that's interesting. But a few episodes it gets to like fight of the day type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's with different skills. So, but it has a lot of the action in the fighting respect, not necessarily sword play, and it's to some degree.
That's cool.
Not as much though.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of fairy tale,
Hey, look at that.
I don't know if you can see.
Nice. Get it close, and it should be able to zoom. Yeah, it's focusing.
There's a scarlet.
Nice.
Pick these up at a con.
And so when I get hungry for ramen, I just come over.
It's hard to do this backward because the camera's like opposite.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not like a mirror. Yeah. My left is right. My right is left. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And you're absolutely right, Diego. One Punch Man is a great suggestion.
I've
gotta
That's
see some of
very,
that.
That, you know, that's
That is
there.
a good choice.
Talking about cooking later on tonight. We'll be doing that.
Yes.
Don't worry about that.
What are we cooking?
High School of the Dead. Wow. Yeah.
High School of the Dead.
Yeah, that definitely
haven't
drops
seen
off. That becomes almost hentai. Then, like, so High School of the Dead is a zombie survival horror, and I haven't seen the last half, but I've heard people tell that.
But the first half.
Goodness.
So like the last half, like they come across this guy who has, you know, it's kind of the end times, and so he's kind of assembled a little cult of people who are like, well, you know,
Okay.
you know, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very
So
much
they're-
that kind of, you know.
There was
thing.
some weird stuff like that in Speed Grapher, sort of a cult of people who were in the hedonistic fashion, and an undercover plot to expose that, and it was an interesting one. But it's
Love Food Wars.
Nice.
So
Okay.
good.
Cool.
maybe
'Cause
one day.
I'm a foodie, so
Yeah.
I'm like, oh gosh, I want to learn how to make this.
Yeah, has anyone here read Tokyo Ghoul? 'Cause I have not. I've just heard good things about it. Love to get recommendations from the chat room on that one.
I'm gonna grab.
And meanwhile, we can go ahead and start preparing for
Yes.
the dramatic reading.
I'm gonna do a quick fill on my tea.
Okay.
So, Jay, you asked, what are your thoughts on isekai-based anime?
Thank you.
You asked about isekai-based anime. That's a great question. It depends on the anime. Isekai is their new world anime. You know, characters transported to a new world. And so examples would include, gosh, you've got Grimgar Fantasy and Ash. You've got War on Geminar. Lots of other anime recently. I like the concept. It's just all about execution, right? About you're thrown into a new world. If the world's interesting, if the character's interesting. There was a series. There's actually 2 series that came out just in the past year or two, or just within a year or two of each other, where an otaku is sent to a fantasy world because of Japan. So a portal to a fantasy world opens up in Japan, as happens.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the name of this again?
I forget.
But a
I will see if I can remember it. Portal opens up to a fantasy world, and because Japan has a policy on expanding anime and manga out to the world, this technically falls under it. So it's not Gate.
It's
but
not Gate.
But it's the same premise as Gate. It's very weird.
Wow.
Because I watched this, and then Gate came out, and I was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
Wait a minute, it's the same thing.
And so
Okay.
basically they go into this world, and like it is a fantasy world. It's a sort of harem comedy, but it's played straight, where like it is all about the fantasy politics and the difficulty of the fantasy politics and the fact that like the races don't get along, and you can't fix that through anime. You know, and all the different elements of like these very weird things around what you do.
This sounds like Gate.
Maybe it was good. I don't know. But yeah, Isekai is absolutely kind of a new subgenre element of anime that we're seeing lots of these days. It's also fueled by the tabletop role-playing D&D stories, where there's a lot of new stories where people wake up in a D&D world as a goblin or a slime or as some monster or skeleton.
I'd have to be a slime.
Or
a watcher.
Exactly. Yeah, ReZero. There we go. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think. I think it's a different
I like
artist
Re:Zero.
than Nichijou. That series that's coming out. The Umao is awkward, whatever that was. And
yeah.
I think it's a different mangaka. But yeah, I think this guy's one of those things where it is the thing of the day, right? So we're gonna see plenty of it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go
Thanks.
ahead and try the. Where is it? Dramatic reading. Why not? So here's the question.
The theater.
Exactly. So we have two people, a reasonable person and a less reasonable person.
Yes.
So who do we think is the reasonable one?
You're pretty reasonable.
Probably. Well, I'm thinking of these. I think
He
we're
just
gonna
says
have
that
to
because
go-
we're public.
I've been using the turtle for reasonable people, so maybe we'll do that one.
Yeah, turtles
Ooh.
are reasonable.
And then the
animals.
unreasonable one, maybe the lizard? The raven?
Raven.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Raven.
Let's do the raven.
Yes.
Yeah. The raven's tough to pick up on camera
Nevermore.
because of all the black,
Oh.
but we'll try it.
Give it a try.
It's definitely remarkable. So who wants to do what? Is the question.
Nevermore.
Yes. You want to be reasonable or unreasonable? Tough one.
Ladies first.
What do you guys think? I guess reasonable.
Okay. Fair enough.
Oh.
Here's your reasonable. You want to be unreasonable?
I am unreasonable.
All right. Fair enough. Stick your hand where the sun don't shine. And there we go. On the puppet, not yourself.
oh.
There we go. So, aren't you glad we're all back together again? All right, so dramatic reading is there. So what I'm going to do here, and so if those not familiar, the way we do this is that I just put one segment up, we record it, and then we just switch to the next segment. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be very, very clear what's going on. So we're going to start with... I'll do a quick intro. Okay. Down. Let's see here. This is a dramatic reading of an anime. Oh, actually, wait. I need to make sure I have the title. This is a dramatic reading of an anime post from 20 years ago about the animation of The Legend of Crystania. And let's just say opinions differed. Okay. So, I'm just going to put the text up. And reasonable. Go ahead and read. And normally I just do, Carlos wrote. Actually, let me expand that a little bit so you can see it. Oh, excuse me. Go for it.
Okay.
Carlos wrote, "As for character design, I think it is just fine. All anime should not look the same."
Let's see here. I can't see better. Get closer on that one. Yeah. Can we see? Oh, hard to see there. It's just not showing up. One second. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So we'll try the other one. Next one, rather. All right. So we'll do the next one.
No.
What? Go ahead.
But aesthetics does not have its place. And but ugly Kara design is but ugly Kara design. Lacking shadow, minimalist, washed out, color scheme, just generally blah.
I think it is original, creative, and unique. The animation is sound and appropriate. There are no glaring errors.
We're talking about movie material, not TV series stuff. Movie animation should be a step beyond. No obvious errors. It should come at least up to OVA standards. The animation direction had no flash, no flare. It was ponderous. The animation suffered from the same limits as the Kara design.
dull color scheme. Short on shadow. Minimalist. It would have been passable as a TV episode. As a movie, it was way under budgeted.
It is a unique approach to animation.
Poke, 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 poke. In what sense? There was no initiative in animation techniques. The story was scribbled, yet again, from somebody's RPG. And the character interaction was pure post-Brooks power fantasy.
I, for one, had no trouble following the storyline. It all made sense to me. And if some people are confused by the use of the name ashram from Lodos, then they should not be so limited.
Huh? Pardon my limits, but setting up a political struggle in Kiddo's home country, and then leaving it unresolved and failing, it irritated me to no end. The country of the gods stuff was pure H. Rider Haggard rubbish. The scheme of flashbacks and flash forwards was amateurish and disconcerting. I'm not saying I didn't eventually figure out the plot. What I'm saying is, it took more effort than this wisp of a story was worth. Not to mention the fact that they used the nth time the tired old hero finds a power winding imsepwa. Mitch. Quest Labs, Department of Bile and Spite.
So that's our dramatic reading, ladies and gents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I couldn't
Thank
see
you.
if I was in the shot most of the time, but
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
tried.
Yeah. Oh, good luck, Liquid.
Look
Sorry
at
I
all
couldn't join
these.
us.
Look at all these books. All these books.
All right, yeah.
Poke, 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 poke.
Be
poke,
strong,
poke.
Liquid. You'll be good.
Oh wow.
It'll work out. Don't worry about it.
Ooh.
Thanks for being in and letting us know. Really appreciate that. So yeah,
Yeah.
best of luck. Best of luck. That's tough.
Yeah.
It's always tough.
I hope you have a full recovery.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow.
Yep.
Mm.
So, let's see here. We've done that. Let's actually transition from there.
That was kind of wild. I like that. That was
Yeah,
a lot
totally.
of
Pretty
fun.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. All right. So let's move on to. I think the debate would work rather well right now. And let's just talk for a little bit.
My esteemed colleague. Here.
Order.
Order.
Totally.
Oh.
That'll be right.
Which one got there faster, the turtle or the bird?
Actually, the turtle went farther.
There we
Yeah,
are.
you took a break, you know. It's that lackadaisical tortoise and hare thing, except that hare had, no, that was a bird.
Exactly. Yeah. Tortoise and the bird. That should be something.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good story.
Yeah, the bird should still go farther because it can fly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
birds
probably
are
some
better.
version of tortoise and hare that's bird versus tortoise or something.
Maybe he got
Who knows?
distracted on the way.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the question of celebrities and anime. This has been kind of making the rounds recently, this whole idea that some celebrities talk about anime occasionally, they'll tweet about it, they'll mention it in an interview, and, you know, there's always the topic of whether somebody is a real anime fan or not, right? But getting beyond
I'm
all
a real
that-
boy. I'm a real boy. Wait, oh no, maybe I'm not.
Yes, I guess not. But kind of pushing past that, the question of would anime benefit from celebrities chatting up anime and recommending anime to their Twitter followers. Imagine Lady Gaga saying, "I love Miyazaki movies. Everyone should go watch the Miyazaki movies." That would get a lot of people to check them out.
It would. Which people would listen to her for advice, though? I'm kind of wondering, because there are certain people, actors that I would listen to for buying insurance, and actors I wouldn't listen to for buying insurance. Like, I'm not going to talk to Charlie Sheen about which seminary I want to go to, you know?
But that's how you think. We're
That's
talking
true.
about how the average person thinks.
Yeah, I'd say that's completely different.
Unfortunately. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah, exactly. Some are hard to fool themselves, and it'll just look, if Charlie Sheen said to watch an anime series, everyone would go,
I don't know. That sounds good.
it's
Archer.
Yeah,
Archer.
pretty much.
Well, that's not
He is
anime, but
Archer.
I mean, it's an animation. Yeah. You know, I think I'd take it with a grain of salt, but I'd appreciate that they were putting it out there. Because I'm not going to turn away an actor because they have some belief that I don't necessarily have or behavior, but it's interesting when they bring up something that I pay attention to, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Hey, did you guys listen to that? All you people out there who don't watch anime, this guy just said something about anime.
Yeah.
And you're fans of this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, what if someone like Trump said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of Fairy Tale." I mean, what
Yeah.
or Ghost in the Shell. What is his political view on AI? I mean,
That could be interesting, actually.
I mean,
It's
if it would've-
becoming a hot topic.
Yeah, as somebody who's in one of the 3-letter agencies, what if they're big into, okay, there's the surveillance society that's,
Yeah.
or one of these fellows in Hollywood who's been getting into trouble for his mistreating women. Is he recommending that harem?
Exactly.
Something with a lot of fan service.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess it would depend a lot. I like that it gets out there, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Harvey being the canonical example, Paul. Good point. It's tough because on the one hand, I think, what's the saying that there's no such thing as bad publicity, but that's not true. We all know. and so, but hey, if somebody is talking about anime and pushing it out there, Sam Jackson talked about it, Keanu Reeves talked about it. I think it's a good thing, especially folks who are, I don't want to say legitimate anime fans, but folks who are, they're not promoting a movie that they're in that is about anime.
Yeah,
it's
not self-stroking. It's like, hey, this is cool.
Yep.
When it comes to Keanu Reeves, some of the movies that he's been in feel like anime.
Yeah.
A Scanner Darkly.
Yeah.
That was wild. That was sort of like an Adobe effect placed on real life. And I have trouble actually filing that. Do I want to file it under an animation? Do I want to file it under action? I don't want to do either because it's kind of neither. So it's kind of cool seeing things like that. There was a movie called The Congress, which half of it was animation and half of it was, well, maybe a third of it was live action and a third of it was animation, and it dealt with the actress who was Princess Buttercup. I'm trying to remember her name now. It slipped my mind, but I'm sure you guys will remind me in a little bit. But it dealt a lot with identity of actors, and now with technology, they can scan a person's behaviors and movements and keep a catalog. So in order to extend one's acting career, they could sell off the rights to use their image, but then there's all the dynamics of it, and
like not having a right to your voice. And
yeah,
body.
exactly. And I don't want to be in this kind of film, but I've already sold off my image to everything except that, and oh no.
And you combine that with the new technology of being able to replace faces in movies.
Yes. Oh, I was just hearing about this. Have you heard about this? They have a technology now that you can use to swap out faces of characters who actually are playing in a movie with your own insertion of this person or that person.
And the software just goes in and
Analyzes the
interpolates all the
angles
different,
and-
this actor, and just maps it onto the face in his shot, frame by frame, and figures
It
out
looks
where the
like
eyes should be and where everything
somebody
should be.
else is acting
It's
the part
amazing.
at some point.
Wow.
And-
I wonder if they use that for Star Wars. like the.
I think for Princess Leia's just a small section.
Oh right, yeah, because they said they had
some
an
of
actress.
her lines, the voice sounded a little different to me anyway. But
That's another thing that they're working on is they say if you can. They say if you talk for 40 minutes into these programs, they can build a catalog that will allow you to say anything. And I can't remember the URL, but there's one out there where they actually do that, and you can make anybody say anything who's been in the news a lot, say a president or a public figure, because there's enough of that 40 minutes of them talking that it can be cataloged. So you can make your own. Yeah, I think it was something false news because
Yeah, totally. Hi, Spin. Good to see you.
Spin to win.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting question there, Jay. Is the fact that Western culture has not always been positive on anime. There's certainly been a lot of scares and concerns over time. So would that sort of machine then work into that, where if some celebrity comes out for it, then we'll get all people come out and say, well, no, that's bad. No, you shouldn't do that.
I wonder what it does to their career.
Yeah.
I mean, do other folks in Hollywood say, oh, wait a second, they're pushing us towards an industry that we're not getting involved in as much, and so, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, I know there's actually a thing about this just recently about how, so Armitage the Third, which came out 20 years ago, it was dubbed by Kiefer Sutherland and I forget who else, but another, well-known actors at the time. And they were like, sure, I'll do this. And they got paid scale and so forth. And it's one of those things where the people producing the dub were like, we are willing to pay scale for this because we want to see this move forward. And then the problem was, like, they had quite a few, like, well-known Hollywood actors stop by and say, I would love to do this, but I legally cannot be paid less than scale.
Yeah, that the union non-union is kind of a struggle. There's certain areas, and even if you're union and you go to a non-union state, you're still under your union contract. And it can get really tricky. No matter how much you want to, I mean, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
I think a few people have kind of flown under the radar using false names, but if you're a popular voice, there's no escaping it.
That's true.
This was
cool.
funny, yeah. So Fisher's saying that Keanu Reeves started talking about Cowboy Bebop in an interview and some random animes that he likes, and the interviewer was like, "Please, what's going on?" He's talking another language. But it's funny when you see that, because if you're a fan of anime and you've seen just a handful, you don't have to like have known everything.
Yeah.
But when you hear certain words, Naruto, okay, and that's Cowboy Bebop. Wait, in some Japanese title, like, I haven't heard of that one. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Look it up.
but folks who haven't really been initiated to the experience, it's like you're talking Greek to them suddenly, and it can sometimes be fun if you can easily grab them into it and say, well, you may not have experienced it, but there is this animated series, and you describe it to them so they're not completely left kind of dangling in the wind going,
And you wonder if that wasn't Keanu's 20th interview of the day.
Yeah, he probably...
Right.
I'm just going to go.
I'm
going to talk about
going to mess
what
with
I
this
think is
interviewer.
interesting.
This guy is interviewing me. He's being... Okay, so I'm going to just take it and see where he goes with it.
There's an interview with Weird Al that is where he's talking to some young man who's like 22. And the interviewer is asking about Weird Al's style and all this, and how he does these sort of family friendly. He does these. He used the term kind of kid friendly for Weird Al stuff, and he said, "Well, I would say family friendly. Like, I'm not Raffi."
Yeah.
And the guy just glazed.
He didn't know
had
Raffi.
No idea who Raffi was. And you can see Weird Al go, "This person was born after Raffi's career.
Oh no!
I am so old."
I don't know who Raffi is.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
A kid's artist. There's a number of different
musicians.
It's funny that
Yeah.
there are different layers of experience that whole masses of kids experience
Yeah.
growing up. Like Captain Kangaroo, who the heck is that? Well, I know the guy. I mean, but Clarabelle and some of the clowns, or Howdy Doody. What? I've heard references in the history book. But there's a lot of experiences like Dr. Seuss. Some extend a little bit beyond, and they kind of transcend many generations. Where some are just kind of narrow. Like the Newzoo Review was a very popular sort of costume characters, people dressing up as frogs and hippos and dancing on set. It was very surreal, but it was a BBC thing, and it was a time period piece. So, you know, unless a kid gets a chance to see those in review, it
HR
could be
Puffin stuff.
HR Puffin stuff.
It's like I recently went back
Going
and watched
back
an episode
and
of
looking
that.
at that.
That is a drug trip.
They
right
were
there.
Puffin stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And to be clear, by the way, you know, a lot of folks. It's one of the reasons why we get Keanu Reeves wants to do an adaptation of Bebop because he adores the thing. You know, it's why Tobey Maguire's interested in working on Robotech because he likes it. So, but again, you have to walk that line of, you know, do you geek out about your favorite stuff all the time? And the other problem too, to be fair, is that when they're in an interview, they're there to promote a movie.
Right.
Yeah, always be selling. So they're always all these clothes on your latest greatest project. Oh, it's the best ever. It doesn't matter whether it was like, oh man, I can't believe I made that movie. It's it's the best ever.
It's great going back and watching interviews of folks working on like The Core and working on you know, After Earth and all these things. Like, oh, it's a very interesting film. All of a sudden, I was like, well, nobody else agreed. Sorry.
But it's really exciting to see actors promote the fact that they enjoy this stuff because you always wonder what is the fertile soil where they get their creativity from. What do the actors look to for entertainment? Because they're entertaining me all the time, and I'm amazed how many times I'll run into someone at who's involved in the industry at one of these conventions, and they're just waiting to catch up on some of their anime, or they'll have an interest that's completely unrelated to anime. And sometimes it's hit or miss, and so I remember hearing stories about a band of hair metal band back in the 80s, and their musicians were saying, when we're not playing hard rock, we're listening to country music because there's a lot to it. You know? It's like I never would have guessed.
Yeah,
you know.
It's like I was just watching some interviews of Star Trek Next Generation actors, and people will ask them questions at conventions about such and such that happened in this episode, and they'll be like, yeah, I never actually watched the episode.
It's amazing.
Sure.
It's like, what is it, 20 years later or something? It's
Still
never watched it. Yeah.
And a number of voice actors have run into that same situation. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what the show was that I just did because there's a thing where they'll record out of sequence. And okay, we've got somebody in the studio, they're going to do all the lines. You don't necessarily hear the person before you or after you, and that can be a little bit, you know, you don't follow necessarily the script. You have your small piece of it, but you don't know the whole story. And well, someday it'll come out and I'll see it and I'll know what it was. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it.
Well, Crispin Freeman talks about that, about how hard it is to play a character when you don't know anything about him or her, and you don't know anything about him or his or her relationships. You know, it's just, he's the older brother. Go.
Okay, how do I become the older brother? Well, I've been the older brother all the time. I always pound him. That's why I don't like my brother sticking close to me. No. But Crispin Freeman is a fantastic actor, and if anybody is interested in voice acting, he has a really great website where he provides, as a service to the community, a lot of training. I mean, free. He does some paid training as well, but he has a podcast that really goes into the depths of the industry that most people will never get a chance to go to. And a lot of podcasts have tried to do that, but he actually did a really good job with it. So,
That's
kudos,
cool.
Crispin.
Yeah. What's his podcast? Voice acting mastery? Is that name? Okay, great. Cool.
Check that out.
Cool.
Steve Bloom.
Hey. Yeah, one of the lead singers of Linkin
Jack
Park
Nicholson.
loves Gundam. I think they put
yeah.
model
Awesome.
kits in some of their videos at some point in Linkin Park. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, got a really
Yeah.
It's really amazing, all of these you know, how kind of that crossover between things.
Ooh, Animetal. That sounds
Yeah,
cool.
that's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, totally. There's
They can't stop.
Tom Hanks did an interview on Kevin Pollak's chat show, and it's great because Tom Hanks just being Tom Hanks. He's relaxed.
Yeah.
There's nothing to promote. He's just there to chat for like 2
Those are
hours.
the best.
And he talks about what he calls it the celebrity movie gravy train. No, something along those lines. But it's the promotional part of making a movie, where he said when he was doing Forrest Gump, that lasted, I think he said, for a little over 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he was doing
That's a lot of
interviews
promotion.
and promoting just over and over.
And it becomes another job, and you're
Yeah.
not acting as much. Well, I
And-
guess to some degree. But,
And worse, it's what was it like on the movie? All right, for the 8,000th time, it was great.
I have a tape recording of this last
Exactly,
interview. Let me play it for you. And it's funny. I've seen most voice actors when they go to conventions get asked the same questions over and over, and they're almost always gracious and they answer the same one. But
Which is lovely.
afterwards, you can tell that they have heard it so many times that it's almost. They don't even need to be conscious to answer it. Okay, my consciousness is somewhere else. I'm gonna just let my lips go, and I'm gonna. So hey, what you up to? While I'm telling all these people the same thing. It's because there are certain things that, because of the distribution, you have a limited audience. You have to say it, and then you have to say it again, and then again and again.
And Crispin, he starts his panels by saying some variation on. Now, for those of you who want me to do a quote from a show, I'll be happy to do the anime voice actor jukebox show. But
The jukebox show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a popular
but that's
one.
not really what we're here for. So let's keep that to a minimum, if you will. Ask actual questions. I'm convinced George Lucas is a huge anime fan.
I could see that.
Especially the action in the prequels is very anime. Folks are jumping around and doing stuff. You look at the action choreography of 4, 5, and 6 compared to the action choreography of the Jedi in 1, 2, and 3. It's like, oh yeah, they were watching lots of anime for that one. It just feels like that. I wouldn't be surprised if John Boyega is an anime fan. I don't know, something about him that makes me feel that.
Who do you guys think, as an actor, is probably a closet anime fan?
Ooh,
I love it, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah. You know what? I wonder how much that breaks along gender lines. I wonder if it's harder for women
To admit,
to being anime fans because it's just not what people expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even something that's more violent.
Yeah.
Right.
If
I
you
like
admit to
action
liking,
movies. Wait, that's a guy flick, not a chick flick. What's going on?
Yeah, if you came out and said that you're a huge fan of Fairy Tale, it would just be like, huh?
Fairy tale?
I guess. Fairy Tales? No.
No, fairy tale. What? There's only one. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
It's like today I was telling one of my coworkers that I was going to a science fiction convention. He kind of like took a step back, like
Science fiction?
Huh?
What? Were you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought you were so level-headed.
Like, you like that kind of thing? Oh.
Danny Trejo's an anime fan. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the image of Danny Trejo watching anime. There's just something awesome about that. Just seeing, wow. Sam Jackson's a great example because he is just so open about saying, I like this stuff. He said, I grew up watching blaxploitation films and action films and Bullet and all these things, and I thought, why not just do that as my career? And why not just be frank about the things I love?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, because then you don't have to worry about it.
David, yes. George Lucas should direct a live-action adaptation of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Because it's all people, that entire series of people standing around on bridges talking to each other. So it would just be perfect for Lucas right now. John Cena, the wrestlers. I can see the wrestlers being closet anime fans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if The Rock watches some anime now.
I could see The Rock getting into it.
Oh yeah.
I could see him like eating a bowl of cereal in the morning, and, like, sitting there getting into it.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's interesting. And actually, wrestling is a great example of where, again, imagine if, imagine that audience, that massive audience, getting introduced to anime and going in there.
Yeah. I mean, character design. Just some of the character designs overlap. Yeah, I mean, conceptually,
Yeah, absolutely. We get some really interesting crossovers there with just with celebrities coming out. So I do think there are issues though. Like we were saying, I think there are drawbacks where you are going to see a backlash against the person personally, probably. You're going to have the folks who are like, I didn't know you were an anime fan. You know, you betrayed me. It's like, and also just kind of that general, you know, people getting used to it. But we also have the advantage that I think these days, too, I think there's a lot less of that. I think enough people now know what anime is and are aware of it.
It's starting to...
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, I don't get it, but whatever is more the tone, I think, these days.
It has a little less stigma.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of the Marvel movies that American comics
that's really changed the
more
landscape.
Accepted mainstream.
And I think that's bringing more people in. Yeah, that's bringing more people into it because they can accept a crossover from comic world to live action. And there have already been a number of animated versions of superheroes throughout the years, and animation from a Japanese approach, it's not a big leap then. And then
exactly.
Video games have brought so much to bear, and even spawned their own anime series. So I think the younger generations have an easier time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you if you can play God of War and you can watch Thor, you cannot tell me that anime is ridiculous. You know? I'm sorry. Weird.
I love Fisher's comment there.
Sam Jackson, I actually saw that clip at one point where somebody said, you know, do you like anime? He said, yeah, hentai. Lots of hentai. And you just see in his face, he's just like, why not? Let me just throw that out there, see what they say. No context, just
no
use
context,
the word.
Well, now more
The people who know are like, and then the people who don't know are like, looking it up and like, whoa.
You know, every now and then I still run into a person who doesn't realize the distinction between anime and hentai. Yeah. And it's like, have you only been looking at porn sites? Do you realize this is not the...
Yeah.
They like look up anime or something, and that's the first thing they see. So then they're 34. Like, oh, all anime is hentai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really it's tough. And in fairness, you know, there is a lot of that art, and so it's easy for that stuff to pop up, and you kind of assume that. Yeah, I think anyone under, I would say 30, more or less grew up with anime.
Yeah.
You know, Pokemon came out in 2000, and that just kind of made anime is on the air all the time. You know, it's kind of a thing. Digimon and all those shows.
Yeah.
So it became much more normal. So yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And then, you know, the folks much older than that, you know, and you know, you have folks, you know, from say 30 to 50 or so who grew up with Voltron and, you know, all the other anime series, the Robotech, and so even if they aren't fans, they know of it. So yeah, I think that's definitely.
When I was a youngster, we could only watch cartoons on Saturday morning. At the movies. No.
And we liked it. That's the way we liked it. That's all we could do. We had to wait for Garfield.
It was an interesting evolution, though, because at some point, it was actually called Japanimation, and it got changed to anime. And when I was young, it wasn't quite a term that was intended to be derogatory. It was just trying to describe its stylistic differences and its sources. And at some point it changed, and I'm kind of glad that it did in that respect, so that it wasn't offensive to the people who it was. But I never thought that it was to anybody, so I was always kind of, what's the difference between these things?
Well, it's like the term otaku, which originally, like, there's a lot of back and forth when folks started adopting that over here as to whether it would be seen as a negative word.
Is it a shame or a badge of honor?
Right.
Or is it both?
But you know, over here, we never really had a negative connotation. And you're absolutely right. Long live rock and roll!
Yeah.
Spirited Away winning the Oscar was definitely an important moment. Yeah. Folks are like, wow, they're actually doing important stuff over there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think the general availability of hey Burrito.
Hey.
The general availability of Miyazaki movies helped a lot. Disney bringing those over, and folks realizing that Disney was kind of supporting anime in that sense. And these anime films were there, and they were. I mean, lest we forget. You know, Miyazaki movies have been like on the shelves of Best Buy pretty much continuously for years.
That's true. That's true.
And then, you know, thank you to Disney, basically. So that has definitely helped a lot. Because you know, it's hard to to get really annoyed with Kiki's Delivery Service
Yeah.
or Totoro or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's definitely
Those
helped.
were the first dubs that I heard that I actually liked
Mm-hmm.
because they got really good actors, and I think they just handled things a little bit differently than the way things were being done in the anime industry at the time.
Crispin tells a great story about that, where he got hired to play Prince Turnip in Howl's Moving Castle. And he's like, oh, this is great. And when Disney dubs the Miyazaki movies, they often hire 1 or 2 anime voice actors just to get them in there.
Yeah.
And so he brought them in, and they scheduled like 2 hours for his 10 lines. And he was like, oh, you're always dubbing like teenagers who work on Disney Channel shows.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So there's a lot of take 2,
exactly.
take 3, take 5, take 25.
So he
take-
comes in, and like they know of him, but they're not like
Right,
aware of him. And he goes down like, okay, this is your line. Beep beep beep. Doodle.
Hit it.
Okay, on to the next line. And he's done in like 5 minutes.
Anime skill set is a very special
Yeah.
skill set because
Yeah, it is.
you have to have it right. You have to have your timing down so it fits within that. So you have to know it and not try and work it out at the time. And it's a very different thing than improving around a group of microphones with a bunch of chairs. You have deadlines of lip flaps and you need to make it fit, and so you have to have a tighter skill set. And so I think it's a lot easier for someone to do anime and then come to that environment than to go the other way around. And so I remember him talking about that. I was like, yeah, man, that's great.
And that's one of the tough things with the Japanese way of doing things, because you are all around there, but you don't have huge amounts of time for retakes. And you got,
Studio time's
What-
expensive.
yeah, and you
Okay,
got-
we're moving on.
well-known voice actors involved. You don't want to waste their time. So you can't just be constantly messing up when everyone's sitting around waiting for you.
But that seems like it's just very common with movies and television here in the U.S. live action that people take a lot of takes.
Yeah,
If you have the luxury of it, in digital
and the
cinema
higher
has
bill
allowed
they
that
are, the
too.
more takes they can take to get it perfect.
Kevin Pollak talks about this, where he was in a movie with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro, and directing it was Scorsese, I think. And they were in a scene, and they did the scene, and there were 27 takes.
Woo.
And he said every time, De Niro was just, puts this over here this time. The next time, this delivery changes slightly, and this goes over here this time. And every time, he's just trying something slightly different. And he said, honestly, by take 3, I was bored out of my mind. Because I thought, aren't we done? Like, isn't that fine? Like, why? And that was his process. He just wanted to do it over and over again until he found kind of the perfect thing.
Yeah.
And he's, which is great if you're into that, but if
And
you're
you
not,
have the
it's like,
budget.
The budget to do it.
4 hours. Yeah, exactly. That's the
If
thing.
you can hire an actor of that level for that kind of time, and one of
And
the things,
all of the staff that are there
Yeah,
that
exactly.
you're also
Oh.
paying.
one of the things that has made that more viable for more people now is digital cinema, because you're not developing film. You're okay.
Right.
Okay, we didn't get the take, we want to delete it. And it's the same with taking pictures. Back when you had to develop film, you composed a shot because you weren't going to see how it turned out till you took it back to the lab, got it developed. And so you take more time because it was more expensive. And so now you can just get a whole bunch of them and then just choose them out in the end. But if you develop a good shot beforehand, then there's less on the back end. So it's all the way around.
Yeah, totally.
This is slightly off topic. I'm the off topic girl. What can I say?
That's right.
But I was watching an interview from old school Doctor Who,
Oh,
and the actors were talking about how in early BBC, BBC had like really strict censorship. So in order to force them to do another take, if they messed up, they would curse.
Wow.
So it just
Oh,
became
that
a
makes so much
normal thing.
sense.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times when you're watching outtakes now, actors do that, and I think it's just because it's like they're trained. They don't have to do it anymore,
Interesting, yeah.
but it's like part of the culture now.
That makes so much sense.
Well, they're not going to use this take. I might as well make sure they don't.
Yeah.
I get paid by the hour, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Actually, you bring up "Long Live Rock and Roll," which is that I think there are a lot of closet DBZ fans, and somebody was saying up here, yeah, Spin to Win. You're absolutely right. A lot of people say they don't like anime, but they like Studio Ghibli, they like Miyazaki.
Right.
Which is funny because some people have said that's not really anime because it doesn't always follow all the anime stylistic approaches to things. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's okay.
But then you can point out stuff that's been on television for the last several decades that they didn't realize was anime, and you're like, you did watch it. Like
Totally.
Speed Racer,
Speed Racer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, I think about Speed Racer.
People grew up with a lot of anime without knowing about it. Yeah, so I think
Sony bought Funimation.
They did.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They're getting so big. They're going to be like Media Galactica at some
evil
point.
empire.
And then they'll get hacked again.
Them and Hasbro. Yeah. Yeah, who knows where that's going to go? That's boy.
Yeah,
That's
if
unknowable.
they like to become an archive, but I don't know how much influence they're going to have over content creation. So licensing, of course, that's going to probably have some influence.
Well, I mean, Sony does a lot of anime, so that is kind of an advantage. They're going to have a much more straight line to that stuff. And the other problem is, deeper pockets. But the other problem is, then all the non-Sony stuff. How hard is it going to be for Funimation to get that? So folks say, well, you're the enemy. We can't license that.
Now we
Who
can't.
knows?
Yeah, there maybe. Do you think we'll see a rise of other studios?
Which would not be a bad thing necessarily. Of getting some competition.
Some of the smaller studios that Funimation has risen to the point where they're the big distribution point. So we might see some other folks getting in there.
Yeah, and I know folks have talked about how and they don't know Hatsune Miku. I'm surprised they haven't pushed more of that. Thank you, Ben Riley. You're absolutely right. Tarantino added an anime sequence into Kill Bill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I
So he's got to be.
He's got some interest.
Yeah.
Anyone here actually remember the Animatrix?
Yeah, there we
I
go.
love that. That was great. I tried to show my friends at work. You like the you like this? Check out this.
Yeah.
Come on, man, you're gonna love it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally. And importantly, that sequence in Kill Bill, like people talked about it and it was remarkable, but nobody was like, how dare you? They just like, okay, it's a sequence, whatever.
It's funny that other animation has kind of thrown in homage to anime. I think there was a Simpsons episode where they did some anime style, and there was also South Park where they went into anime mode, and so it's always fun to see that because other people who aren't even familiar, they may have some vague idea. Oh yeah, that's kind of pointing back to other stuff. Okay, there's more.
Yeah, totally.
But I will say, I think that Tarantino's movies are a little bit niche.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those directors you either love his movies or you hate them.
Sure. Yeah. That's actually why he made Inglourious Bastards, by the way. I was just reading about this, where he got some review for one of his movies where somebody basically said, Tarantino, like cult film director, he was like, I'm going to make a World War II drama. Screw you all, basically, I'm going to make a World War II drama. And that's what he did. He went off and he made that movie. And it looks like, oh yeah, he can do that.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. There it goes.
I just don't want to all the time, but there we go.
I want to see this Bob's Burgers
Totoro homage. That's awesome.
to Totoro. Yeah, I mean,
look that up.
I like Bob's Burgers, and it's fun. I mean,
Mr. Sparkle, that's right.
Yeah.
So
They've done everything on The Simpsons.
that's true.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
Yeah.
Simpsons did it. We do it now. Simpsons did it. It's like,
Exactly. Well, this has been a really interesting and good conversation. So thank you all very much for being part of that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let us move on from there. We've done the dramatic. We haven't done the review yet. Let's do the review, and then we can go and do cooking. Yay cooking! Because we've been going for a while here. That's there.
now we're cooking with gas.
Exactly. Okay, but
Which is the older version of Now We're Cooking.
exactly.
Why are you cooking with gas?
I need a costume change. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Should use solar power or
come move into the shot. We have room now. Little Charlie's Angels.
What do you think? So now we've got center stage. What are we gonna do while he's out?
So for those of you who don't know, I think people were asking earlier about who we were, and I'm not sure that we really covered that topic.
I ask myself
So,
that all the time. Who am I?
Evan used to be a regular on
Irregular?
the
sure I
Friday
could take
night
something for
live
that.
stream some time ago, and he pops in from time to time. And I'm actually kind of
On
borrowed
loan.
from
She's on
you guys
loan.
have probably seen me comment from time to time in the chat as Kaminoko. But I'm actually kind of borrowed from another channel. called-
I'm gonna rearrange everything.
Yes.
Put it out of
Oh my gosh, have you guys
order.
seen it? There's labels.
Oh,
It's like all labeled by topic, and it's probably in alphabetical order
take
too.
these and put them over there, and take this and put it over there, and then like replace the bottles with one of the animals.
What are you doing?
Well, I was just
I
trying
can't.
to say
I can't. Char's here.
from Anime Convention Video. Oh, check it out.
Come on.
Nice.
If I'm going to do Char's counterattack, I've got to start as Char. Come on. Why
Thanks
not?
for sharing.
Thank you. Exactly. That's what's annoying is that the thing broke off there. But oh well.
You can
All
fix
right, so we'll get started, and then I am not going to do the entire review like this. I'll tell you that much. Exactly. I think I will be on this side,
Okay.
and then we will. You guys can be part of it too. I mean, we'll
okay.
sort of discuss
We'll pop
as we
in.
go. Exactly.
It'll be the what is the thing in Greek
The chorus.
dialogue? Yeah, the chorus.
Exactly. Do it. Don't do it. Do it. Don't do it. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. That's there. All right. Yeah, there we are. Okay.
Did you 3D print this?
Hmm?
This helmet?
No, this is a Darth Vader helmet.
I thought that's what it
Actually.
looked like.
Mhm. Painted white, kind of. Few changes. Okay, so let's get into it. Welcome everyone to a review of the Gundam movie Char's Counterattack. And while I would like to do the entire review like this, I'm not going to. So, what is Char's Counterattack? And what are these people doing here? So we're here to talk about an anime movie that has been years in the making in terms of a review. Char's Counterattack is one of arguably the Gundam movie. This is the movie that changed things. This is the movie that people remembered and talked about because it actually, well, spoilers, but we'll get into that. So, Char's Counterattack, for those who aren't familiar, is a movie in the Gundam universe, in the original timeline, and Char is one of the big antagonists of the series. He shows up in the first Gundam series, he shows up in the second Gundam series, kind of reformed, sort of, and so he's in there a lot as well. He was going to be in the third series, Double Zeta, but they rewrote it hastily when they found they had the budget for a film. And so decided to move the plot line with Char and Amuro Ray, the main character from the original series, into a movie. And the idea is that Char and Amuro have this rivalry. Amuro is this kid who stumbled into this giant robot that's very powerful. And Char has always been pissed off about that, frankly. Like, why would somebody, why would somebody who has no skill in war suddenly take over and do these things? It's just not right. Meanwhile, Char has his own issues, and I'm not here to defend Char Char's a nutcase, but anyway. And so Char has his own plot line, and then things build up to a point, and in Char's counterattack, Char counterattacks. Char decides to, Char basically says, so here's the thing. Backstory behind this is that Char comes from a group of colonies that try to break off from the main Earth Federation. And he was part of the original ruling family of that colony until, let's just say, mysterious things happened to his father. And he was very much sidelined from all of that. And he decided to do something about that. And he did. And so he has this whole plot of trying to get kind of revenge on how his side and his world the things that his family stood for were all corrupted by these other people. And he really cares about the colonies. He wants to see the colonies succeed. Part of his frustration is that evil people basically took over the colonies, and then started this war, which failed. And so after that war fails, he realizes the problem is the only way for the colonists to be free is for them to stage a successful revolution, and they need somebody to lead them. And he is so well known that he was like, you know what? I am going to be that person.
George Washington.
Exactly. He says, I don't want to be that person, but they need me as the leader, if you will. This is Exploding Gundam Unicorn, by the way, as folks mentioning in the chat room, in their own way. So he leads his own revolution for Zeon, and Amuro is pulled in. But the thing is, Amuro is 15 in the original anime series. He is much older when Char's Counterattack comes along. So he is now in the prime of his skill and his abilities and his new type powers, which have now developed. These are kind of psychic powers that they have. And so you have a movie animation budget that is basically one long duel. Not quite one long duel, but it is very much about these two characters facing off and delving into that situation. Now, I should point out, Char's Counterattack is it is 80s movie animation budget. It is very clean. It is high budget, but it's not what we're used to now with a lot of these ridiculously high animation budgets. But the point being that did something happen? I don't know. The point being that it doesn't feel like a modern anime movie. It feels very much like a product of its time and what it does. There's a lot of characters standing around with not a lot of animation of them talking, and then mecha are suddenly constantly flying around and destroying each other. So they kind of do that. So he's a very driven man in Char's Counterattack. And that's one of the other interesting things, is that Char has basically decided, okay, this is it. This is my last stand. Like, this will either succeed or I'm going to go down, right? Like, there's no way that that's going to go anywhere. And that's the problem. You have somebody who's desperate leading this group. And that's the worry, is that Char, there's no reason for Char to ever stop. And it's why Amuro has to up his game to stop Char. And then they have their whole, issues and their issues with each other. So that is a really interesting plot line for the movie. It's one of the nice things about the movie is that there's not a lot of other stuff. There are other characters, other things going on, but it's very much about those two things happening. Now, spoiler warning. Massive spoiler warning, which I have to get into because that is the big thing about this movie. The end of the movie involves Char trying to drop a planet-killing asteroid onto Earth, basically. Not planet-killing, but an asteroid that's going to be massively destructive and will thus force humanity off Earth. So everyone's a colonist now.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
He just went supervillain.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. It's really bad. But that's the thing about the story, is that the end is about Amuro convincing Char that he's wrong. And so Amuro, Char, and all the other characters end up flying their mobile suits to the asteroid to essentially divert it and cause it to break up in the atmosphere. And Char ends up joining him in this. So Amuro and Char at the end work together to stop this disaster.
That's the best use of
Exactly.
mobile suits there.
The problem is, no mobile suit can survive that.
Oh no.
So the movie basically ends, again, spoiler alert,
Wow.
with disintegration.
Wow.
that's
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
going.
Yep. For all of them. Right? So this was in many ways them saying, okay, that story's over.
The end.
Theories.
Nothing else with these
The era.
characters.
Yeah, pretty much. We're
That
done with that.
is- That's closure.
So that's Amuro and Char. Now, granted, it's anime. They could always find a way.
Yeah.
But
we suddenly vaporized.
exactly, we survived.
Something opened up.
Oh, they
but
made a clone.
well,
Yeah.
funny you should say that.
Oh, dear.
In fairness, like they thus far we have never seen Char again. Like he's done. And same thing with Amuro. And that's the amazing thing about this movie is that they kill off two of the two main characters of Universal Century, arguably, you know, less than 20 years into that story's run. And it's like that just gets turned off, and we're gonna have to show other characters and other things going on. So it's a very impressive thing
Yeah.
for a movie to do. So yeah, that's Char's Counterattack. It's a really remarkable film. It is a product of its time, but it is it's an interesting thing.
Saga.
It's a saga, and it's the end of a saga.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's that.
Wow. I've got to see this now.
Okay, yeah. So Higurashi got to kill the main characters like over and over and over and over and over again. But Higurashi is its own thing, right? That's boy. Higurashi's weird. All right. So that's that.
Like Kenny in South Park.
Yeah, pretty much. So we've done that. We've done the review. What was I gonna? Oh, okay. One second.
Char is disrobing. Don't look. Woo.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
It would not be the first time. In the original series, you get a nice long shower scene with Char. Something for the ladies. Okay, so I do want to talk about a video game. Before we go any further, sort of similar format as
Giant
the other one.
suits piloted by folks who... It's a little trickier getting into those, though.
Yeah, totally.
You got to have the plug to get into all the fluid.
Yeah, it's just messy.
Yeah.
I played this video game a couple weeks ago. It's called What Remains of Edith Finch. Have you heard of this?
Edith Finch.
Have you heard of the concept of what's called a walking game?
No.
Walking game.
So it's a game where all you do is walk around and explore an environment.
Oh, cool.
Like
Mhm.
Myth?
Like
Or is-
kind of like Myst.
Myst.
Yes.
Myst.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's
Like
what I was
Myst.
thinking.
And it is about a girl who is going back to the house she grew up in to find out why all of her family has met untimely ends.
Oh.
And it's not a ghost story.
Oh.
Okay.
Their family appears to be cursed in the broadest sense. Like just
Okay.
bad stuff happens to them.
Wow.
And why?
And exactly, and you start piecing together what's going on there. There might be supernatural elements involved, but that is left very much up to the player. It is just
This sounds like
about
a mystery, a great mystery.
yeah, and you're
Yeah.
just walking around, and literally you just the game starts with you on the ferry, going there, and as soon as you look down at the journal in your hand, she starts explaining to you what she's doing, and it fades into the opening to the house, and from there you just explore the house, and that's it. You're just going around the house for the entire game. And then as you play the game and as you encounter stuff about previous tenants, you jump back into those previous tenants and you play out
Oh.
periods of their life. Usually the end of their lives
Oh.
and what happened to them. So it's really interesting because, and you are playing, like you have to play
Watch
this
that
out.
bus. What
Right?
bus?
Pretty much. And this gets into an important point about what Remains of Edith Finch. About half of these characters are children. So, they do an excellent job of making this something that is very palatable. I have a tough time of stories involving harm to children, but I had no problem with these. Because
Okay.
in most cases, it's accidents, basically. It's just, and that's part of the mystery, is that why do so many kids in this family have accidents when they're 8 or 10 or 12? And you're playing, so you know it's not some guy with a hook. You know, it's just these things keep happening. So that can be hard for people, quite understandably.
I'm amazed I survived childhood.
Exactly.
I did some dumb stuff.
And that's kind of part of it, too. Is something like, yeah, that's going to happen to you. But
Standing on that chair at the top of the stairs might not be the best way to change the light bulb over the alcove.
so what's amazing about the game is you're playing as other people. and kind of understanding where they come from. And when I say playing as other people, like it is often completely different games. Like it's different mechanics. You are doing completely different things. Like in many cases, you can't walk. You're just in this environment, you know, interacting with things. Then you come back to Edith and explore more of the house when that's done. So it is a game about how people are different and how people react to that. And how that becomes kind of a story. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that as these things happen to the family, a belief comes with the family that they're cursed. And then that becomes how people interpret what happens to them.
And then it's justified by the curse rather than whatever. It's like, this is part of the
exactly.
self-fulfilling prophecy there.
And what's also neat is this game can easily be completed in 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's a
Going around this thing.
Good flight time.
Exactly. And you're just going around the house. There's no fighting. There's none of that. There is, I think, there is. Let me see. Is there? I don't think there is any section where you are literally fighting. So it's a very, and it's one of the remarkable things about this game is like there's nothing to it in that sense, except that it is all about the emotions. It's all about family and how we treat each other. And then the culmination, I'm not going to spoil it, is very much tying those themes together. As opposed to the plot line per se, it's more about, kind of capstoning all of those themes into the events.
What became of Edith?
What became of Edith Finch?
Edith Finch.
Mm-hmm. What remains?
What remains
of Edith Finch? Yes, which is also a storyline. It was a very critically acclaimed game the year it came out. It's one of those things. It sounds like an anime series. It's very much like that.
Yeah.
And it's the neat thing. One of the things I like is we have visual novels, and they're not really. I mean, they're technically games, right? But it's basically click, 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 choice, click, 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 click.
Almost
choice.
like the old choose your own adventure books.
Yeah.
Except graphic novel version
So it
on
is
the screen.
it is these. A visual novel is the simplest possible form of game. But with this, you're actually interacting with the environment. You're actually going around, opening drawers, going through places, things like that. To give you an
sounds
idea,
more exploratory than.
she gets into the house and you find out that at one point, her mother sealed all the doors shut.
Why would you do so? To keep something out or in?
Exactly. So it's a very interesting thing. Oxenfree. Oxenfree will be another segment. I will be talking about Oxenfree. That's a whole other thing. But yes, if that interests you, I think Edith Finch is kind of one of the top bars in terms of one of these games that is, you're not swinging a sword, you're not shooting a gun, but you're going through this very emotional experience.
Oxenfree. That makes me think of Ollie Oxenfree. Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my recommendation, guys. So I hope you found that useful. Definitely more of a Japanese thing.
Gotta play it.
So Oxenfree, I cried after Oxenfree, kind of for other reasons, but that was a powerful game. Oxenfree, you're a teenage girl going to this island, and with some friends, and weird things start going down. And it's definitely sort of hauntings and horror and things like that. But you also start doing time skips. And the main character lost her brother a year prior in an accident. And she starts skipping back to being with her brother. And she is conscious of the fact that she is now interacting with her brother. And what's neat is in every other situation where you're time skipping, you're just, a lot of the dialogue choices are what's going on, what's happening. As soon as you're with your brother, she just wants to spend time with her brother. She's just asking him questions. She wants to spend no time figuring it out. Just any time she can spend there. It's really interesting. So Oxenfree, yes, I'll dig into that one. All right, so that was that. Let's do some cooking. Cooking. So as usual, I need to switch those things over. So let me go ahead and show you guys a bit of a panel clip. We will go to business clip 6. That is how long? Okay, that's less than 2 minutes, but that'll give us time. All right, so I'm going to show you this clip while we move and transition all the tech over into the kitchen. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
So how much do people actually make? Yeah. So during your first year working as an animator in Japan, you will make about $10,000 in one of the most expensive cities in the world to live. Because you're paid by the shot. You're paid for every shot you complete drawing. And oh, by the way, also working on your anime series are people who've been animating for 20 years, who can do it a lot better and a lot faster than you can. So you're working feverishly, and you're working, your quality is necessarily lower than theirs. You have to work harder, and which means you're drawing fewer things, but you're getting paid similarly. So yeah, it is a very tough industry to work in. A CG animator makes about $22K per year. The episode director makes less than $30K per year on average. Even your series director, only about 42. And your chief animator, that's going to be, the top 2 or 3 animators at your studio might make $44K per year. They're also usually character designers, things along those lines. Then you get to the producer at about $64K. This goes all the way back to Astro Boy and to the earliest anime. That there were a lot of anime has traditionally been undersold in terms of budget. The producers generally budget the animation for anime as little as possible to save costs. And this has just been the standard. It's just the way it works. And it's been very hard to change that in the animation. They haven't figured out a way of changing it. It's just unfortunately the truth.
All right. Welcome back. Hopefully. I hope you all are here. I hope that transitioned over correctly. Yeah, it looks like we're still connected. Good. All right. So we just had to transition all the equipment over into the kitchen. And here we are in the kitchen. So today, we're going to be making... This is the only time I've ever heard this called this, but yagatama.
Yagatama.
Basically, potato salad balls.
I like potatoes.
Exactly.
Potatoes.
So we're going to play around with this. So basically what we've got is... I think we have an illustration. Actually, no, there'd be an illustration here.
I've made Korean style ones.
Okay.
So I'm curious how similar it is.
So that's what we're making,
That
hopefully.
looks delicious.
So it is... That right down there is what we're making tonight.
Yagatama balls.
And we'll see. I Googled it. Again, they were like, what's that? I have no idea. So I think they just kind of made up that word for this. But we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to start with some potatoes, which I forgot to get. So say entertaining things for a few moments while I grab this knife here.
Yagatama balls. That's
So have you guys had Korean potato salad? Because it's amazing.
I never knew stuff like this existed. Is that cool?
This is so adorable.
Manga cookbook, and it says the Manga University Culinary Institute. Who would have thought?
What is this?
Oh, look at that bento box. Oh my
That does
goodness.
look really cute.
Little bento box, a little diagram of where everything is and what it is. My goodness.
Oh my, look at that. Those are some knife skills right
Oh,
there.
show that.
I don't
That's
know if
pretty
you guys have seen this in a previous. Go the other way.
cool. Oh, that's it. That's
Right.
a neat idea.
This. There we go. That's like one potato. It's all like sliced, but it's still like held together on one side. It's amazing.
Pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we're gonna start by cooking up some potatoes. Because that's kind
Apparently
of
that
easy.
was accidental.
Yeah.
You need a sharper knife.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I think she meant to chop through, but didn't quite make it.
I have had that happen.
Mhm. But intentionally, that would be a neat effect. You
Yeah,
could
exactly.
Could be. Yeah.
do this
Always be watching.
scallop
Of course, when you
potatoes.
try to do it, that's when it won't work.
That's what it's all the way through.
Totally. So first thing to do with we start with 2 potatoes, like these, and we're going to wash them. That's fairly important. Whoa! Not that much. Yeah. There's something. It's just.
Did I not?
Actually, you know what I should do? I should just do that. There we go. No. It's still.
Did I not
No,
do
you
it?
did it exactly right. It's just not.
Oh, there's a little foot there. Maybe I can do that. Down
Yeah.
That.
Okay. Yep.
And
Yeah.
that
There we
one
go.
more
Well
sleeve,
done. Ta-da.
What? Well done, potatoes?
Hopefully they will be.
I have a sinking feeling.
Are we gonna boil these?
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna microwave them.
Microwave.
It's not ideal, but it's
the
fast.
fastest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Rub it up the potatoes.
So I always worry about scrubbing potatoes because the more you scrub, the less brown there is. It's like, at what point is there not enough brown left? Like, at what point is all the dirt off? I never know.
Getting the dirt off, you're taking out all those great nutrients.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Wait a minute. Where is that stopping point?
Vitamins and minerals and
Mhm.
probiotics.
Yes, and worms and all sorts of other fun things.
Yeah.
Okay.
You win some, you lose some.
Exactly. So we'll just get this off. And my grocery store is pretty good about getting a lot of the dirt off. So I don't have to worry too much about, this is really getting the dust off as opposed to stuff that's really deep into the potato or anything. But it's always good to make sure you give it a good scrub.
So we're not peeling these?
Yes, we will.
I find them
I
appealing.
think,
After
cubed potatoes, yeah, they don't say to skin them. We're just going to cube them and zap them.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
I think you certainly could if you wanted to.
Very geometric.
So then they say to put those in a bowl. So,
where are your bowls?
middle bottom cabinet. There's a big glass bowl in there. That's the top thing. Yeah, there's a big glass bowl there. Yep, thank you. Oh, there we go.
The lid.
Where is the lid?
Take this one out.
Where is the
This
lid?
is
Yep,
an extra bowl.
very good. Probably will.
What other ingredients do you need?
So, good question. We need a mayonnaise. We need some frozen veggies, which we will also cook. That should be the top shelf on the door.
This is a food pie.
We'll also need, I have the lemon here. Yeah, there should be some frozen mixed veggies in there. They're bags. They're in the top shelf there. So they say cut into cubes.
Cubes.
Well, gosh,
Yeah.
that's not specific.
Roots into cubes.
Exactly. So we're going to just cut this into, oh gosh.
I used to
Starchy.
do this for work on my lunch break.
Ah.
Sometimes I would just bring a whole potato, or just chop it up ahead of time and then microwave it.
Nice.
Just put butter and salt and pepper, and I was good to go.
That's a good idea. So we're just going to fillets.
Precision 1.5 centimeters squares all the way around.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do both these small cubes. These are the fairly small cubes. That really matter. So we will just chop these up. One of the big things about knife skills is being willing to be certain. Instead of chopping through.
Until I get my
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
drawn and quarter.
So we're going to do all these, and then we're going to microwave these for 3 minutes. As you undoubtedly know. Brown on that one.
Microwaves may vary.
Exactly. Microwaves may vary. And like a regular potato would need maybe 5 minutes in the microwave.
Oh, if it's cooked whole.
If you cook whole, exactly. Whereas a chopped one only needs about 3. And we all know why, right? Everyone in the chat room, you all know why, right?
Because potatoes are aliens.
Right. Surface area, mass.
Massive potatoes.
Mm-hmm. So there's that.
That's why babies get cold faster. Their surface to mass ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Exactly. Quarter.
Don't worry, he's halfway. He's gonna
I've been doing this for 3 years.
totally seem to do
Yeah.
that.
This one has a brown spot, so we're just going to cut off. Yeah. We have plenty of potato. That's not a problem.
Alright.
Okay, so this gets covered with any sort of covering is going to do. We'll go ahead and use plastic.
Lead.
Tell us what to do. Lead might not be great
Not for the microwave.
for this, but
For any food preparation.
exactly. Uh-huh.
As you guys may not have realized, I don't cook.
All right, so this is going to the microwave for 3 minutes.
Of course, if you eat food coloring, you eat lead.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Then we're going to do is top that. So,
Fun fact.
here. Let's see, did you find frozen veggies?
Yes, it is. You're right.
Thank you. Very good. Let me grab a, they say how much? 4 tablespoons? Okay.
It sounds like a lot, but
Interesting. Let's go quick. Hey, Shy Nerd Girl. This is Kaminoko. Check out Kaminoko online. Okay, good.
I don't know if they can see this.
Yeah. I think that they should be able to. I think we're
Yum,
good.
yum.
Okay.
Yum,
So-
yum, yum.
Exactly. So we need mixed flavor. We want to cook these, obviously. And so let's grab a little bowl. And they want 4 tablespoons. Which I guess, yeah, for this many, that makes sense.
That's a measuring spoon. I thought tablespoons go on the table.
Different kind of spoons. You know.
I suppose mixing up tablespoons and teaspoons, you could get a very different result.
Yes, absolutely. Tablespoons are the big ones. Teaspoons are the small ones. Very important. Okay.
Losing just a spoon out of your drawer will also get a different effect than using a measuring spoon.
Yes. Definitely be aware when you're using a spoon, or a tablespoon, or a teaspoon, or any other measuring thing.
Spoonerism.
Spoonerism, yes. You're doing that as well. All right.
There are some things you can get away with it, and some things you can't.
And this is actually a great example of that, where we're just going to be mixing these into our potatoes.
Yeah.
If there's more or less, it doesn't matter until
Oh,
you have
no.
so much.
I was one
Falls
kernel of
apart.
corn too much.
Exactly,
Right,
then it's not going to
right.
fall apart. But if you have a huge amount, then it's just going to be,
Too much
Yeah.
overpowering flavors.
well, it won't hold together because you'll have,
Too many.
corn with like a little bit of potato in between.
It holds together.
Right.
I haven't
Gotta
seen
make
it.
it all together. Yeah, we're making these sort of
Sphericals.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So about half a minute left on that. Then we'll cook the vegetables, and then we'll mash them. Mash them. Exactly.
That's fun.
And don't overdo it. That's an important point. Potatoes get icky if you over mix them.
Crunchy?
Over mess them.
Do they dry
get
up, or-
gluey, like gluey.
Oh, gluey.
Yeah, they just get kind of. You ever had mashed potatoes that have been kind of overdone, overbeaten, and they just kind of turn all like gluey, basically.
I've never really thought about it. I've got to perceive that next time. I eat them so fast I don't even realize it.
I have a tendency to like overdo things like that.
Mhm.
Chop stuff too small.
It's so
Mix
easy
it
to
too
do.
long,
This
which
is
is
nowhere
why
near cooked.
I've never managed to get pie crust. It's like the opposite.
I will give you a recipe
Okay.
for a pie crust that is no fail. I almost guarantee it. One of those things I'm like, oh, this is how to make it. It's easy. It's amazing.
I've
It's
always
had the exact same problem. It's like, oh, just these steps. Oops. Okay.
I do not have the kitchen.
Oh, no material required.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's literally combine these ingredients and mix them up until you get a dough. Stop. Done.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
thank you.
Nice.
It's nice having friends who cook.
Yeah. And learning other cooks. So, salt, sugar, and curry powder.
Ooh.
We're gonna
Sounds
curry up.
so tasty.
Yeah.
Curry powder, sugar. Is this enough sugar, you think?
Oh my.
Yes. I think that's enough.
And so it's interesting. I think we're going to need the full 5 minutes on those potatoes because they were still crispy, nowhere near cooked. So then we will. Actually, what am I? It's been a minute. I'm going to check.
Did they get soft and squishy, or?
They should get reasonably
Use
so.
a fork.
There.
Yeah. Look for the biggest
So
piece.
this is the put the fork in it and see if it's done.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, that's still pretty.
Yeah.
They're not soft.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Another minute. Fair enough. Again, microwave vary.
It's starting to smell good though.
Yeah. And if we wanted to, of course, we could just stop and make mashed potatoes, which I would not, mind. Anytime anyone says, "Just have mashed potatoes,"
yeah.
but that's not what we're doing tonight. So basically,
No.
all we're going to do here is mash these up, and then mix in these vegetables that we will cook in a moment, and then add some mayonnaise, salt, sugar, and curry powder, and squeeze in the juice of a lemon, which I forgot to do. We're going to do that before going further.
That's a really large lemon.
It's a really large lemon, so we will probably go a little easier on that. Use some cleaner on that.
I've been meaning to do that.
What kind of cleaner is
I
that?
know who knows his vinegar.
This is half vinegar, half water. That's all it
Half
is.
vinegar, half water. That's a neat idea.
Somebody did an actual study, and they found that this works as good as the commercial cleaners. It's as
Brilliant.
effective. It gets. I mean, no cleaner gets off every single germ, but 98%.
Just like a distilled white vinegar.
Yeah, just white vinegar and water, half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's hot. I'll let it sit for a few moments. It's fine, and then we will.
So I take it we're going to use the zester there?
Yep. I've got. Actually, it's just a juicer, I think. Don't
Just a
need to do the zest.
Give me something to do.
Okay. Here.
Okay.
Limon.
Juice.
Juice it. Do you want to zest it first?
We don't need the zest. That's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different flavor.
Yeah.
So just the juice.
Just the juice. Yeah. Oh, we need to cut that in half. Do we mind getting a little potato on this? I don't know.
Nah, I mean, it's all going to go
Yeah,
into
exactly.
or at least half of it.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
There we go. So that's going there. This is here. So now we need to test these. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not
That
here
just
now.
went
Yeah.
in. That went in. And some of them are
That one's
still
a
a
little
little,
stiff.
Well, we're gonna go with this.
All right.
See what happens. We'll go nuts here. Okay, so I'm gonna have something for you to do here in a second.
Oh
They
my.
might keep cooking in their own kind of.
That's true.
A little bit too.
Over, you know. Oh, actually, can you hold that?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Go ahead and close zip that up. And remove as much air as you can. There we go. All right. Then you have a job.
I have a job. Oh, I
Whack
feel
it with a spoon.
Yes.
whack-a-mole.
Mm-hmm.
Whack a potato.
Just mash them up. Mash them up good.
I'm a wimp.
You want to come around? It's a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whack-a-mole.
Pretty much. They're kind of firm, aren't they? They're really going down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of.
Okay. Well, tell you what. Let's try this.
Hey,
Oh, we
here
can
we
eat them.
Yeah. They're not needed. Okay.
Not needed.
Maybe
Maybe
a
a little
little
more
closer. They do.
Back into the board.
How goes juicing?
Is this enough?
Just squeezing on by.
Well,
Or
they
do you
say
want
the
more?
juice of one lemon. So let's do both, and we'll use maybe 2/3 of it.
Okay, you can always use the rest for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Eye wash.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Put on your band-aids. Really get there.
Your
Any paper cuts that I have?
Your
Oh,
turn.
I'm juicing now?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I'm gonna juice over here. Let's see. So how does this work? I'm
Kitchen it uninclined.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
you
put it on there and
press down and turn.
Exactly.
Oh, it screws in like a corkscrew.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
can go back and forth, whatever works.
oh, I haven't finished this side yet. Then maybe I'll go the other way.
There we are.
Spout.
Oh, that's okay.
Ooh. Did I break it?
No, okay, I didn't break my lemon.
Yeah.
Ah.
Needs to be reseated. on
Less pressure, maybe. Yeah.
I was just kind of holding it.
that. Okay. Yeah. You
Okay.
accept it.
Twist sideways. Let the twist do the work.
There we are.
A little twist of the wrist.
Okay, those are nice and cooked.
Ooh, look at that. The smooth is good.
And this is another great case of where if some of these things are, if some of the corn's a little undercooked, that's okay because they're still hot and they will cook a little bit as they sit there.
So the OCD person in me wants to cut up those pieces of.
You'll probably have to because they're pretty
green
good for the
beans.
balls.
They're pretty
Yeah.
big.
Okay, I think I did more than.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's great.
So,
We'll have some
See,
lemon
they're
juice.
a little bit long.
so
You know what? And that one. More time. More time.
Yes, chef.
All right.
Ah, look at it there.
So you called for herbs. More time.
Yeah, there we are. That's a lot of lemon juice.
Gotta go some fresh in.
One of the things I like about this recipe, about this cookbook actually, is they don't get too specific. They don't tell you, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. You say salt. Put it in there to taste. Like figure out how much you want and put it in there. All right, so that's that.
That's an example of them not coming apart all the way.
Oh yeah.
I think I got it now.
All right, so those go in there. We're gonna add. We do need an exact amount of mayo. So I'm gonna push plate. If you can measure out
How much?
1/3 of a cup.
Third of a cup.
Actually, let's just use them.
two big potatoes.
Okay. Actually, do you have maybe like a rubber spatula?
Yes.
Like a small rubber spatula?
Actually, I think
And I will use this. I think that'll work very well.
Rubber
I'm sure we'll use this though. Thank you. This is perfect.
Metal spatulas are a little tricky.
Yeah. All right, so now we return to this process and have you hold this
Yes.
open.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ah,
Ooh, they smell so good right now. Oh,
That's like David Kane in the beginning of Kung Fu, where he burns his arms on the cauldron.
Exactly. So is that swooshing is the question?
Feels
Is
a
that?
little more
Yeah,
swooshy.
okay, that's more swooshy. If you want to try
Make sure
swooshing,
that I get it sealed before I
okay,
swoosh
yeah.
too much.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yeah.
goes everywhere.
There we go. That feels like it.
Cool.
Potato
Snapped
spray.
right. Okay.
Do your swooshing.
This song, Michael Jackson beat it.
Yeah, exactly.
That?
Yep.
Let's see.
Let's do its thing.
If I manage to sing one a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then maybe I'll just come back in that bowl. Why not? Come on. Roll. They did the mash. It's not all your stress from the end of the week, right?
I'm spanking this potato. Bad potato.
Been so naughty, haven't you?
I've actually also used the back of a
Ah, yeah.
because it's hard.
Yeah.
What, like-
Careful.
Oh, like,
Yeah, so like I don't want to stab anybody.
put my eye out.
Yeah, these are hard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they
Well,
don't want to.
Yeah, that is it. It's very high.
Yeah.
That one isn't going to go anywhere. So, no, I'm going to do.
Where's the bowling pin? You can whack.
Yeah, might do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually.
The other possibility. That's actually matching pretty
Oh yeah, it is actually.
well. We just have a few chunks that do not want to match.
Yeah.
So,
But we didn't want it to be totally mashed up though.
That's
so
true.
That might be okay.
yeah, we may end up having to fish those out because again,
Yeah.
kind of hard to make mashed potato salad stuff without with large chunks of.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are.
You know what? We may have to do it. We may have to do this. But
Maybe cut them smaller.
well, I think I'm just gonna cook potatoes in the microwave.
Boil or by
Just
boil?
whole.
Oh, okay.
Because I've done that a
Cook them
bunch of
all.
times, and
Oh,
I know
yeah,
that's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
This is just okay.
No!
Oh,
No!
we can still use those for something else
Exactly.
later.
Yes, but for now, that is moving away. I'm gonna grab the potatoes from the
Take
potato salad.
two.
Throw my food. I always love to eat.
It did smell really good. Just need some butter.
This is why I bought spares.
I really do.
No reason to despair.
Yeah.
Despair.
But not pears.
A pair of spares.
There we go.
A spare pair.
That was a sweet lemon.
Sensei, she's eating the lemons.
I'm eating the lemon peel. You
Don't
should
do
see
that.
it. My mom eats lemons whole,
Oh
peel and
wow.
all, and that's
Yep.
who I learned it from. So.
Gosh.
Which is weird because I eat lemons, but I learned it from somebody else who's not I learned it from a family in Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
They had a neat little trick. If
Mhm.
they explained if you have a little bit of cognac
Mm.
and you take a slice of lemon, you peel it all, and you put sugar on it, and you drink the cognac and then eat the lemon
Mm.
with the sugar on it,
Mm-hmm.
peel and all, and you get this very interesting tingling
Interesting.
sensation. It's a great flavor and aroma, and it's something worth trying.
Yeah. Or you could just chug the cognac.
Oh, who needs something from?
Remember, don't drink unless you're of age.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Serious.
Mhm. All right. So what we're gonna do is actually, Evan, on the door back there, I have a page called "The Medieval Diet," and it talks about cooking potatoes in the microwave, and it will have times for 1 potato or 2 potatoes or 3 potatoes.
1 potato, 3 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes for 2 to 3.
All right.
Wait, here's microwave for 5 minutes, then flip and repeat for 3 minutes for 1 potato.
Ah. So it's 5 first.
5 after pure smooth flipping, and then 3 after.
Okay, so definitely 5.
Definitely 5.
And then
flip,
3.
and then 3.
Okay. But we were doing 2 potatoes, so 5.
Well, this, we're doing, okay,
Yeah.
so 5 and 5.
Yeah, okay, cool.
5,
Excellent.
flip, 5.
But first, we pierce. Oops. You guys see? Exactly. We're going to go.
Stab the potato.
Rare.
Oh, you got me this eye.
Both sides. We'll flip them in the oven, so you want it, or in the microwave oven.
So now, the reason we do this is this so that pressure doesn't make it explode.
Exactly. That's a rather important thing.
Exploding potatoes, that's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It starts hot. When it,
Yeah.
That's the problem, is it's exploding nuclear potatoes.
Yeah.
So we just rub some of the wetness off. Right. Here, and so we are going to wait 5. 5 and then 4. Okay. So that is that. So let's review real quick what we've covered so far. So this recipe is simply cooking potatoes, chopping cooking potatoes, mashing them, adding mixed vegetables, as well as a few seasonings and some mayo and some lemon juice. And that will give us a potato salad, basically, which we formed into little balls. That's going to be the recipe. Let's talk about what we've cooked before tonight. As a reminder, for those looking for other episodes, they're on the channel. So the first thing we made, you might remember, are usagi ringo, little apple rabbits, if you will.
Usagi or rabbits.
Exactly. So you just slice up apples and make little rabbit shapes out of them,
Oh, that's so cute.
which is adorable and darn easy. And then we did tamago tomodachi, little egg friends, where you take hard-boiled eggs and you stick sesame seeds in them for eyes,
Oh, that's so cute.
and little bits of
Yes.
carrots for that,
Oh my goodness.
and then you eat them.
Yes.
Um,
Japan loves to make things super adorable and cute,
And
and then
them.
you eat them.
or kill them, one of the two.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Did we make the hatchlings, the cucumber slice? I think we did.
Cucumber hatchlings.
It's crazy.
Oh,
You did the hot dog thing?
I did, but it
The
didn't work out.
octopus hot dog.
And I discovered why. Because they say in here, somewhere in here, where is it? Oh, there it is. That what you do is you either boil them or pan fry them. I pan fried them and they never opened up.
Huh.
But I think boiling them, that's going to, they'll plump up, and that's going to make them do that. So I don't think pan frying is an effective.
Maybe it depends
System
on
bad.
the type of like sausage.
Yeah, it could be the
'Cause I-
pan as well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So next time I'll try boiling. Then we made steamed rice, but that's straightforward. Onigiri. And so onigiri rice balls that are not ball shaped at all.
Yeah.
They're kind of wedge shaped.
Triangular.
Triangular wedge shaped. A little bit of nori on there to hold it with.
That's what a seed type of thing.
Yes, seaweed, sort of pressed seaweed. They made Naruto rolls, which again are a thing I think they just made up their name. But it's ham, cheese, and nori rolled into a roll.
I think it's a reference to the spiral.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And the cool thing about Naruto rolls is that they're very easy to make. The difficult thing is that it is ham, cheese, and seaweed. So that our
Either
palates,
like it or you don't.
yeah, our palates are not used to that combination.
Yeah.
It's ham and cheese, like, oh, ham and cheese. No, that's not what this is. And then after all of that wonderful, wonderful, healthy food, we wrapped vegetables in bacon and pan-fried it with teriyaki sauce.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, no. Teriyaki sauce with sugar added. Because why not?
Yes.
That's all it is. You're just wrapping vegetables in bacon, you chop them to length, and then throw them in a pan and pour over teriyaki sauce. Now, got to be careful there because depending on your pan, teriyaki sauce, if that pan's too hot, it's just going to it's not just going to splatter. It's going to form a crust. It's going to sort of it's going to turn into candy basically in there, which is going
Because
to
of the sugar.
because the sugar is going to it can burn on your pan. So just keep that heat,
hot, but not too hot.
I've
And
also
welcome.
had a problem with if I'm cooking on soy-based sauces. Sometimes it's like almost like the soy sauce gets scorched and it has this like burnt flavor.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the sugar burning it, but
Maybe the temperature too high.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's on too high.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just part of the experience. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out, and you learn, and you keep on going.
Yep.
It's life. And then what's next on cookbook? After these, we'll be moving on to that's right, rice burgers.
Rice burgers.
They're not burgers.
Oh.
It's basically rice formed into patties and then pan fried.
Ooh.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And so 2 cups of steamed rice will make 4 buns. And basically, you just put a little fat in the pan or oil, whatever, and then cook them, fry them. They suggest, let's see here. Oh, add a little teriyaki sauce while you're cooking them for a little bit of.
Sounds good.
You need a hot glove or? Ooh,
They're not that.
wow.
She's flipping around.
So potatoes are flipped. Another few minutes, and we should be good to go on those. And we will go in and chop them and mash.
There
Do
you
the mash.
go.
So much violence directed towards poor potatoes today. You're right. I'm so sorry.
I think Ben Riley idea preceded us there
Yeah,
with the mash joke.
exactly. Yep. So have you guys made any? What kind of Japanese food have you guys made in the past? You guys tried? Sushi?
I love to make Japanese home cooking type meals. So let's see. So I've done like what you call sukimono, different types of vegetable side dishes. Another one, I'm trying to remember the terminology because
Yeah.
it's been a little while. Nimono, which is braised.
Okay.
It's not things that are boiled like in a soup, but there's instead of cooking things with like sautéing with fat, you add a certain amount of like liquid to the pan, and it's usually basically it's like not a super strong sauce,
Okay.
almost kind of like a watery sauce,
Okay.
but it makes the food like the texture is amazing because you kind of slow cook it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So you can do that with different types of fish. I really love daikon
Radish.
cooked that way because it has a totally different quality when it's cooked that way or if it's stewed. It just becomes like so sweet and tender and
I'm gonna try some of these things.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's one of the difficult things about cuisine is that you'll come across things other cultures do to their food. And you try it with our food, it doesn't work the same way because it's using their food and your daikon, other ingredients that we just don't have access to, and so it just doesn't work the same.
But sometimes it does. In this area there's a set of Japanese restaurants that they all have kind of different, they're ramen shops, and each one has a different unique menu, but they use like local ingredients.
Okay, yeah.
So like one of them is a chicken ramen, and it uses, what is it, like mustard greens or something?
Oh yes, I
wow.
remember. It was
Yeah. Evan's been there as well. But yeah, and I was actually,
real
it's
ramen.
so delicious.
Not just like instant ramen, but ramen.
But this group of restaurants actually has done so well. They've opened I think 4 that all have different menus, and every time they open a new one within a very short period of time, it's like constantly packed while it's open.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ramen
And
days
they
to
were
three.
actually invited to do, I don't know if you guys know, but in Japan it's really popular to have these pop-up restaurants or cafes that are just limited time. And they were actually invited to go to Japan and do like a pop-up
for just, I don't know, 1 to 3 months, something like that.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very
really
cool.
neat.
That's amazing.
Well, it's Japanese owned, but it's an American-based
Gotcha.
restaurant, so it's pretty neat.
That's cool.
That's sad. You only have 3 months. Eat
Yeah.
quickly every day.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would have
gonna
to
disappear.
constantly go to the new place.
Totally.
The cosmic ramen shop has disappeared.
Speaking
And
of-
apparently you have to like pre-order tickets or something to like
Oh,
you have to
wow.
sometimes before the place even opens, it's all booked.
Yeah, that's the thing about good restaurants. So just so you guys know, as we move on in this recipe book, later on we make udon
Udon.
from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
gonna be.
flour and salt and some liquid and water, and we're gonna. You make udon and then you make other things with it. So that's gonna be interesting.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I love udon. So good. Just any kind of fresh noodles are amazing.
Yep.
I have to think about that. I'll use my Google.
We are
One.
sizzling. I don't know if you guys can hear.
Potato
it.
time.
Yeah.
Hot.
Woo! Yay! Hot potato.
I'll leave that in there for now.
Ooh, it looks soft already.
Oh yeah.
You know what?
Does it still need a little
No,
time?
it's fine.
You can actually
I
put
can
the
just
skin on.
peel it
Yeah.
right now.
A potato with a peel.
In fact, what I might even do, if we do it like
Oh, it's coming right off like.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Basically peel it. Whoops. Well,
If
it's
you
not a bit too much.
if you blanch it, would it?
That would help, actually,
Yeah,
probably.
actually, because then the
That makes
potato on
sense.
the inside would not be as cooked.
Yeah.
So, but the skin would be soft, so you could remove it.
I just wondered.
And probably, if I let this sit for a minute, it would cook even more.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
probably a little easier to get off. But just for now, just for
Not
our
for your
purposes.
hands.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Put that down a little bit. I want to get this stuff in.
Hot, 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 hot.
Oh. Okay. That's gonna be. We're just gonna. Don't touch it, Brent. Don't touch it.
Hot salt.
Most of these. Oh, there's a pretty dark spot. And the other bits and pieces of that can be part of another thing. Fine. And then the other one. Shouldn't do that. Okay, so can I feel that? I may need to start it. Oh, no, there you go.
Little spark where it was
That's
growing
a bad
there.
one.
Yeah, okay.
That's like the eye started to grow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The eye had it.
The eye had it. It's unanimous.
Right. Yeah. So, never do what I just did, which was start to cut towards yourself. Go like this. Bad idea. Why I stopped.
I totally do that with smaller knives sometimes.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh,
I learned it from my grandmother. She does that. She used to do that thing where she would like slice like this.
Oh, right, yeah.
And somehow she never cut herself.
Oh, yeah. You know. Well, when you do it all your life,
Yeah.
you become really good.
I'm sure she did when she was younger.
Yeah. Dogs love potato skins, by the way. Yeah. Of course, dogs love a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dogs, or my parents' dogs, eat various things in the yard that,
They maybe shouldn't.
yes, you definitely should not copy.
Passed on squirrels are very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They also love to recycle. Anyway, so yep. So let's go ahead and mix the potatoes and put the actually first off.
Probably mash them up first, yeah.
Cook first. Yep, that's coming very nicely.
Alright. Yay.
Okay.
The fork. Scampa.
Don't think we had anything nasty on that. Okay. I don't want to mash these too much here. Because then again, it'll become gummy. But
break
just
up the
enough to
solid
get,
part.
yep, exactly. And there are some chunks there.
A little bit harder.
Yep. They're next to the skin too. So they were kind of held together by the skin. Alright, then I'm going to add the mayonnaise. Yep. Mayonnaise. And then good.
Mayonnaise.
That seems like not a lot of vegetables
Yeah, I
for
agree.
this. But let's go ahead and add. I've got a little bit, some little bits and pieces on my hands. Okay.
How much should we
Just sugar. It just as much as you want, which is a dangerous thing to say to me.
Because
We can sprinkle some sugar in there.
we probably want the
2 or
sugar to
3
kind
pounds.
of melt in the heat.
Yeah.
So we should
Point.
probably put it
Yeah. Earlier.
in earlier. We want enough to kind of balance the saltiness of the rice.
We'll start there. We'll do a fair amount of salt. Potatoes love salt,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
so we'll try that much, and then I have pepper here.
And then
Pepper, right?
Pepper right here?
No pepper. I curry powder. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, right. That is so interesting. Great
Yeah.
Delicious. Oh, it smells good already.
Mhm.
Oh,
They may be expecting smaller potatoes, because this does not seem like
It's those big American
Yeah,
potatoes.
exactly.
yeah.
it seems like it. Because that's, I mean, yeah, kind of coming together.
Yeah.
But you could probably go a little
More
bit.
mayo.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mash a bit more. We need some mashing, and we definitely need more veggies.
Oh,
Like you'll get, one carrot bit per ball here. That's a little silly.
yeah.
Yep. And then what? More mayo. Just more sugar.
The taste test.
More sugar.
A little more sugar.
Important. Get all the flavors balanced.
Oh, that's the lemon juice. That's lemon juice.
lemon juice.
Do that.
So, how long did you cook these for?
1 minute.
1 minute?
So adding the lemon juice, that's going to bind it together a bit more. I used about 2/3 of it as a starter. Okay, yeah, I don't think we'll need more mayo. That's good. Okay, I'm going to stop there just so we don't, again, kind of tell that mayo back in. And yes, that'll go in here, and that should be pretty good. And then we will need to, of course, fashion them.
This is what we wash our hands for. That fun part.
Okay, I may need more of that, so we'll see it. I really don't want to match that too much. So we'll put those veggies in and mix them in. That should be kind of the end point. Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Right, because there was like a hunk.
Oh, okay.
Most of them are. Probably be alright.
Yeah, let's give them like a moment just to sort of, like on the
Yeah,
counter.
that's
And
Even out.
some more, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll throw them in there. And then I think, let's see, what would be a good, oh, you know what? a there we go.
Ooh, a scooper.
Ooh,
Scooper duper.
nice.
Yeah, that's about the right size, I would think. And actually, they say to roll these out as mentioned as cool, so that's good. We're giving it a few moments to cool here. See how we're doing on these veggies. Those are evening out pretty well.
That Tom Petty song. The waiting is the hardest part.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's interesting is there's nothing here about. I would think these would just stick together like nuts. Well, not like nuts, like non-nuts. Like glue. Because you just put them in there. They're just going to be sticky.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The potatoes have starch, and starch is like a sticky.
That's it.
I think the mixture looks a little dry.
I agree.
Maybe a little more mayo.
Yeah, you're right.
Ooh.
No more.
Mash.
Spoon?
Spoon.
Go for it.
Mayonnaise. So flexibility is good. Trying to follow too much to the letter, and you may have something that is exact to the letter but doesn't taste quite what the intent was.
Yep, exactly.
Part of that's also the difference between baking and cooking too.
Yep.
Cute.
Now you know what? We may have gone a little overboard. If these are meant to stick together, I think it's possible that that these are meant to be dents.
Okay.
In the bento. So it's one of those things where you got to figure out for yourself what you want, what you're going to use these for, and realize that your use case may differ a little bit. Often, you also have other cuisines where their food's more bland, or their food is meant to be a certain way. It isn't exactly what you're looking for. This is a lot of stuff, which is actually really cool. Okay.
Potatoes.
There we go.
Aha!
Ah,
Woohoo!
Go for it.
sweet. Taste test.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Dig in. I will just add a few more of these to our container. That.
Mm. Mm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm off camera, but.
This is delicious. Compliments to the chef.
Thank you. No compliments to the other chefs.
Thank you, thank you.
This was a group meal. And the nice thing about this, with 2 potatoes, you get a lot of these little balls. So you could very easily just cut this down to 1 potato and have plenty for yourself and some friends, going out somewhere, making up some bento boxes, and throwing these in here. In fact, I think very soon in this recipe book, you actually make a bento by combining all of these things
Oh, sweet.
into a bento. Let's see here. So I'm gonna be
I
messy.
think I should be trying to eat this with chopsticks or something.
Yeah. So definitely this is too soft. So I think we added a little. We were right to add more mayo. We probably added a little too much. It should be a little more dense, just hold together. I think.
Yeah.
Lemon juice and curd.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tasty. All right, thank you all so much for joining us on a Talking About Cooking. Do this every week, pretty much, And we will be back next week with even more. I've got more streams coming up later in the week. And yeah, thank you all. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
That's the end of the stream, guys. Thank you. We will be back next time. Not all die in vain. You're right. See you, man, Riley.